terrorist attack in London all morning. We'll update it as information becomes available. Of course, the investigation after the fact, beginning with Prime Minister May saying that they do have the names of the 3 terrorists who were shot and killed after they committed their attack on London Bridge and in the bars and restaurants on the Borough Market area.
She said they'll be releasing their names later this morning.
Right.
So,
and then also, in addition to those 3 that were shot and killed by police responding, and they got there quickly, 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, there were, another 7?
11.
11 arrested.
12 were arrested. 1 was a woman, and they released her, but 11 this morning are in custody.
11 still in custody.
They went to this apartment complex, and of course, they interviewed one. They said one suspect is a family man, and one person interviewed said, I can't believe he would do this. You know, he's such a great guy, yada, yada, you know that. But then another woman said, I know who he was, and on the playground, he would recruit kids and have them pray. And he was trying to, teach them how to pray to Allah. Because during the attack, and a lot of people said this, before they were stabbed or their throats slit, they would say, I'm doing this for Allah. Praise to Allah. So that's the message that they were sending before they tried to kill people.
Yeah, the witnesses saying this is for Allah, right? And the big white van crashes into pedestrians. 3 guys jump out with 12-inch blades and start randomly stabbing people. That's how it went down. In fact, a friend of mine who's got a friend over there who lives in the area, that friend got a message from his association, the association where he lives. A van came between London Bridge itself, went between the traffic light system and rammed it towards the steps. It knocked loads of people down. Then 3 men got out with long blades, 12 inches long, and went randomly along Borough High Street, stabbing people at random. That was the message that he received locally.
Well, London police were telling people to run away, and then the people that were in Borough Market, in particular this bar, they were telling them to get down.
The police told us to run.
It was mass panic.
And so Theresa May's response, now the timing of this is, replete with layers. One, you had the Manchester United concert last night with Ariana Grande and all those other artists.
I can't believe they kept the concert, but they did, and thank God there was nothing to report there.
And then 2, you have a general election set for Thursday in Britain, and it's a very close race right now between Theresa May and this wild-eyed leftist that Labour has advanced, Jeremy Corbyn, who we'll get to later. So Theresa May's statement is important, not just in the interests of what is the British government going to do a better job of stopping terrorist attacks like we've seen in London the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, they've had 3 attacks. Yeah, 3 attacks in 3 months.
And in addition to that, it's a political statement in terms of can she inspire the British people such that they believe she is the best person to deal with this rolling physical threat to British families. So Theresa May's statement was interesting and very specific. She got through the pro forma of the police did a great job and, we stand together and all of the bromides you expect to hear from politicians in the aftermath of something like this. And then she got real specific about the way things must change in Britain.
We cannot and must not pretend that things can continue as they are. Things need to change, and they need to change in 4 important ways. First, while the recent attacks are not connected by common networks, they are connected in one important sense. They are bound together by the single evil ideology of Islamist extremism that preaches hatred, sows division, and promotes sectarianism.
So that's number 1, the specific threat, the Islamist ideology. And she was explicit about it, as she should be. So now let's identify what the problem is And how do we go about changing, as Theresa May said, that things must change. So one is identifying the hateful ideology that is giving rise to these terrorist attacks. The second thing, now this you start to get into a little controversy here. Now, so she was specific, and that's good. Now you have to debate the direction she's thinking about taking Britain and the world. Oh, by the way, the West in particular, online regulation.
Second, we cannot allow this ideology the safe space it needs to breed. Yet that is precisely what the internet and the big companies that provide internet-based services provide. We need to work with allied democratic governments to reach international agreements that regulate cyberspace to prevent the spread of extremist and terrorism planning. And we need to do everything we can at home to reduce the risks of extremism online.
Now, let's just stop there at number 2, because to me, that is, particularly as you start to fill in the blanks, that opens up all kinds of freedom of expression challenges, more so in this country than perhaps in Britain, but it's a conversation nonetheless. The idea of more stringent controls on the internet, essentially the government acting as the arbiter of what is published and not published. A good idea? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And let me just put a fine point on this. There was a conservative plan with respect to the internet in the party platform, if you will, and even though they concede much of the internet currently controlled by private businesses like Google and Facebook, Theresa May intends to allow government to decide what is and isn't published, as suggested in this platform. The new rules would include laws that make it harder than ever to access pornographic and other websites. The government will be able to place restrictions on saying adult content, and any exceptions would have to be justified to government ministers. It even suggests the government might stop search engines like Google from directing people to pornographic websites.
What about jihadist websites?
Well,
because that's what I'd want them to focus on more than pornography.
Well, this is the direction it's going. The idea is to promote. That's part of it. That is part of it. What you're suggesting, and the other part of this gets even deeper. Forcing tech companies to help government schemes like its prevent strategy by promoting counter-extremist narratives. So now you're actually getting private businesses in the business, forcing them into the business of pushing particular content that's government-sponsored. Does that leave you a little jumpy? Leaves me a little jumpy.
I say do it. Whatever they can to keep their citizens safe. I mean, because this is going to happen again, and ISIS is using social media to recruit people. Because what CNN was reporting this morning is that the 3 people, we don't know if they were inspired by ISIS or if they're a part of ISIS. And the other 2 attacks that happened, the one in Manchester and Westminster, those 2 were inspired by ISIS. It's Ramadan month. They're reaching out to people saying this is when you need to attack, use vehicles.
Yeah, ISIS claimed credit for the attack over the weekend.
Right, they did too, but they're trying to find out if they were inspired by them or they actually were Well, the guy the Manchester bomber, he used his college funds, state tax dollars from the UK to travel to Libya.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't inspired. He was part of their movement. So, but still, they're getting recruited online by social media.
Well, that's
why they want to shut it down, and I don't blame them.
Well, I mean, this, I guess, is sort of our Facebook Live discussion redux. This is a communication channel. It can be used to communicate good things. It can be used to communicate bad things. Who decides? And what May seems to be indicating is that, to a certain extent, in Britain, they're inclined to say the government decides what shall be published, as well as the idea. I mean, again, this is the next step, forcing outlets to push their counter-extremist narratives. Do I want counter-extremist narratives put into the social media spaces? Sure. Do I want the government directing people to do it and mandating that they do it? No, I do not. No, I do not. I do not want that. I am not on board with this. And so I appreciate the the conversation that's opens up about understanding the fronts on which Islamic extremism battles, and you want to engage in all of the fronts, but there's the rules of engagement, and the way you engage matters. And thinking about this from an American perspective, the idea of the government taking this level of oversight and control of the internet, that leads to all kinds of unintended consequences, as any government involvement in any private enterprise in any space of our lives inevitably produces. So that is highly concerning to me.
Why did they bring up pornography? Why couldn't they just leave it as
part of
jihadist material?
It's part of the radicalization.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Okay. I learned something today. I'm going to go home now.
Well, and so I mean, it's the idea of, boy, just who is
government-controlled social media.
Well, right.
And then if you want it, then they'll review it on a case-to-case basis if you really want to watch something.
Well, right. I mean, if they censor you, then you have to make the case why you shouldn't be censored. So it puts the onus on the private actor with respect to their free speech rights, at least, again, speaking of this in an American context. Bruno in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
So it sounds like the government there is just looking for an excuse to censor free speech. Almost every single case of violence like this in Europe, jihadist violence, the people who've done it have been on watch lists, and you hear on the news that they were being surveilled by the government and so on and so forth. They know who these people are. They know the people who are most likely to do these kinds of acts. They know which mosques they come from. Yeah. So they're just afraid to actually go after the real source of the problem.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
Thanks for the call, Bruno. I think that's a fair point. I mean,
they did show the mosque of one of the three crazy people.
Well, here's the other thing, though,
the imam wouldn't talk.
They rarely do. Here's the other thing, just to Bruno's point, is I think one of the other things May is doing, and politicians are inclined to do, is see if the public is willing to trade freedom for security when their security is existentially threatened. And frankly, a lot of times, a lot of people are. And this is why this aspect of the debate is so important.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up later, how did President Trump handle the London massacre via Twitter? We'll explain. But first, here's your forecast. Mostly sunny today, breezy, cooler than we're used to. A lot cooler than the last 3 days. A high of 72 degrees. Tonight, clear, a low of 53. And tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy, and pleasant again. A high in the mid-70s. Let's get into the alarm detection systems. Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
Not looking too bad early on this morning as the Edens and Kennedy remain quiet. 20 minutes in on the Kennedy, O'Hare to downtown 10, and from the junction 8 in the inbound express. Ike and Stevenson also quiet and incident-free. Inbound Ryan, though, starting to stack up in the express lanes at 31st. 17 minutes from 95th into downtown. Inbound I-57 on the brakes. 107th into the Ryan with some slow spots. Inbound Bishop Ford beginning right near Cottage Grove through the Ryan. And keep in mind, in the Elgin area, around 31 going to be blocked between National and Lawrence, at least until 7. That's because of a stalled freight train from a little bit earlier in the overnight hours. But everything else continues to build. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, there's more than just golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. There's also fun to be had and big fun for the 4th of July celebration. That's where you can get all the fun, food, and fireworks on July 4th. Find out all the details by going to BolingbrookGolfClub.com. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Message and data rates may apply.
Would you rather get your degree from one of the most innovative online universities in the country or one of the nation's most affordable? How about both? Now you can at Southern New Hampshire University. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting the word FRESH to 554433. College tuition is skyrocketing, making getting a degree almost impossible for too many, but it doesn't have to be that way. Founded in 1932, Southern New Hampshire University has the credibility of a New England campus, but by offering programs online, we've made education incredibly accessible and affordable. You'll discover knowledge and skills from instructors who are leaders in their field. Plus, you get all the flexibility, support, and encouragement needed to prepare you for the career you've always wanted. Southern New Hampshire University. See yourself succeed. Grab your smartphone and do the smart thing. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting FRESH to 554433. That's FRESH to 554433.
Hey, your kids won't be thinking about school very much this summer, but it's a perfect time for you to think about where you'll be sending them to school this fall. If you're sick of public schools and want to send your child to a private school, then go to halfpriceschools.com. Find a full year of tuition voucher for half off the price with no catch. There's schools in Romeoville, Kankakee, South Holland, Chicago, just to name a few. But don't delay. These vouchers always sell out. Halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, Joshi, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
When you think about spring, what comes to mind? Baseball, tulips, spring cleaning? How about cleaning up your home? Hi, Amy Jacobson here to tell you about our good friends at CertaPro Painters. Spring has arrived, and it's a great time to focus on your exterior painting. Don't deny how ugly it is. You know, the chipping, peeling, eyesore of a front porch. So do what I did and call CertaPro Painters now. 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. They really are the best in the business. They're clean, responsible, talented. They increased our property values. They're such a top-notch company. They've been around for 25 years and counting. So do what I did and experience the CertaPro difference. 1-800-GO-CERTA or CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so much to cover on this London terrorist attack, the latest one, and we'll cover it all. One thing I thought was interesting, Amy, one of the police officers on scene fought off one of the knife-wielding terrorists.
With a baton, right?
Right, with a baton.
Well, she was a transit police officer off duty, and that's what she was armed with. So she's being held a hero. There's also an Asian journalist who was helping a bouncer who was getting stabbed multiple times in the back, and he grabbed him, and then he got his throat slit, but he's going to make it. So of the 36 people still in the hospital, 21 are in critical condition.
Well, one of my points, particularly with respect to that London police officer, the issue of gun ownership in Britain and how difficult it is, and maybe law-abiding citizens. I mean, it would be culture shock for Britain, I understand, so this is not likely to happen anytime soon, but it should perhaps be part of the conversation about letting law-abiding Brits defend themselves. Tim in Woodstock, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Back in 2016, Mr. Khan met with the mayor of New York, Mr. de Blasio, and at that time, Mr. Khan said that we just have to sort of get used to terrorist attacks. They're just part and parcel of urban life nowadays, and he seemed to draw some comparisons between people like Mr. Trump who say divisive things and terrorists. I'd just like to ask Mr. And he said that he and Mr. de Blasio were interested in building bridges, not walls. I'd like to ask Mr. Khan how that bridge building is going, number one. And he also goes on to almost lecture his own police force at that time. That means, he tells the police force, that means we have to be vigilant. Having a police force that is in touch with communities. It means the security services being ready. It means exchanging ideas and best practice. But what is he even talking about? Half their police are walking around with baton sticks. And, you're right on with that, Dan. I mean, let the citizens have their handguns back and take it back to these people in the streets if they have to.
Thanks for the call,
some
Tim.
Terrorist experts are saying if they had guns in London, they would have used assault rifles and killed more people.
Well, those aren't experts then. One other tweet from Sadiq Khan 13 months ago. See how well this is standing up over time. Trump's ignorant view of Islam could make both our countries less safe. It risks alienating mainstream Muslims. London has proved him wrong. Would you like to revise and extend your remarks, Mayor Khan? By the way, on the issue of moderate Muslims, don't think we have forgot, I should say, Khan's statement in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
Moderate Muslims are Uncle Tom. So who has credibility on that topic of trying to appeal and amplify the voices of moderate Muslims?
So
maybe not Khan.
Well, coming up, we will discuss that in Trump's tweet about Khan. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 66 degrees, mostly clear skies in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home with a lifetime advantage warranty. Drivers experiencing major problems in Elgin this morning because of a Union Pacific train blowing an engine. Get details on this big suburban problem coming up in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Dominic in for Jim in just a moment. Meantime, President Trump is promising to protect the U.S. from terror attacks like the one in London that left 7 dead.
I will do what is necessary to prevent this threat from spreading to our shores and work every single day to protect the safety and security of our country.
The president speaking at Ford's Theater last night. More people are in custody following a London Bridge terror attack. As you've been talking about with Dan and Amy this morning, counter-terror officers raiding 2 more properties early today, where they detained a number of people for questioning. Earlier yesterday, police announced a dozen arrests. British Prime Minister Theresa May held a press conference early Sunday morning addressing how attacks will impact the upcoming election.
As a mark of respect, the 2 political parties have suspended our national campaigns for today. But violence can never be allowed to disrupt the democratic process. So those campaigns will resume in full tomorrow. And the general election will go ahead, as planned, on Thursday.
The attacks coming on the heels of the Manchester Arena attacks and the attack at Westminster at the end of March. Several countries in the Middle East cutting ties with Qatar over terrorism fears. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt severing diplomatic ties. In fact, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia closing land, sea, and air borders with their neighbor. Opening statements at the Bill Cosby sexual assault trial in a Philadelphia suburb today. Apple could unveil the next iPad or Mac laptop, but more likely only software updates at its World Developers Conference today. 2 are dead in Chicago in an apparent murder-suicide. It happened in the 2500 block of West Lyndale Street. An investigation is also underway after a Chicago police officer and a man were wounded in a shooting over the weekend on the south side near 81st and Maryland. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals. Tigers sweep out the White Sox with a 7-4 win. UIC's run in the NCAA baseball tournament is over with a loss to Mississippi State. The news, a service of Geico Chicago. Hey, Chicago, Geico now has even more ways to save you money. Your local Geico agent is ready to deliver the personal service you need with the savings you love. 773-582-AUTO, 773-582-AUTO for your local Geico agent. 5:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes the Trump administration needs to fix the leak.
Let's take a moment to talk about these leaks, because there's somebody or bodies within the Trump administration who want to do him in. There's no question about this. It's felonious to leak a lot of the information that has been leaked to the media over the first few months of the Trump presidency.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-300-9209. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-300-9209. That's 1-800-300-9209.
5:36. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim. Here's Dominic.
Well, an update on that Elgin situation. Looks like it'll be at least mid-morning before crews can clear that disabled freight train that's blocking State Street between National and Lawrence. Looks like it blew an engine in the overnight hours. Just got the update a little bit ago from authorities. Police are on the scene detouring traffic, but Route 31 shut down between Walnut and Kimball early on this morning. Also have some early delays along the Stevenson inbound. You're slowing between Cicero and Kedzie, also between State and Lakeshore. 37 minutes from 355 into the drive, 27 in from the Tri-State. Express lanes on the inbound Ryan will cost us some time beginning right near 31st. Overall, 18 minutes, 95th into downtown. And some slowdowns on the inbound Bishop Ford. Tighten up traffic between 111th and the Ryan. Traffic's a service of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today, just $19.99, plus $3 disposal fee for tires, oil, service, and repairs. National Tire and Battery, that's all you need. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, sunny and breezy. A little cooler today. Winds are turning from the north. Cool things off a bit. High 72. Clear and 53 overnight. 72 is where we are at right now along Chicago's lakefront. A little cooler in the suburbs. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, talking about the latest terrorist attack in London on Saturday night. And here's the thing. Theresa May, the Prime Minister, addressed the Western world after that attack. She identified, we were just going through her 4 points. She identified Islamic extremism, that ideology is at the core of the problem. She talked about more regulation of online content, social media. That's the direction she wants to take the British government. That I have real concerns about.
I say go for it, but you don't.
From an American context, I understand Britain doesn't have the same First Amendment rights. The Brits do not have the same First Amendment rights that we do. But just in terms of, the idea that if we change, the terrorists win. Well, of course, we always change, right? There are more. Mark Stein points this out in his piece over the weekend. A lot more than London Bridge is falling down. We have more police presence. We put more barricades up around government buildings and other buildings of interest.
And then when we have big events too, like remember at the RNC, they had garbage trucks out there and snow plows to make sure that no cars come in and ram. But they need to do that at a lot of the sites, I think, in London.
Well, so the issue is, of course, there's change in response to an ongoing threat. But when you start to change in terms of people's individual freedoms, that's a little bit more problematic. I think it requires a little bit broader of a conversation. So that was one thing Theresa May said that I'm not on board with. She went on, so that's one, that's two.
We need 3 and 4.
Here's 3.
But it also means taking action here at home. While we have made significant progress in recent years, there is, to be frank, far too much tolerance of extremism in our country. So we need to become far more robust in identifying it and stamping it out across the public sector and across society.
That's interesting because, now she's talking about the broader cultural problem and you're more robust in stamping out extremism when it presents itself in the public sector as well as across larger British society.
So aren't they asking Muslims to turn in other Muslims if they're becoming radicalized?
Well, of course, but that's kind of standard operating procedure at present. Here's what I think she's talking about. She goes on to explain it at number 4 about domestic policing powers.
There were no meetings.
Sorry.
We need to review Britain's counter-terrorism strategy to make sure the police and security services have all the powers they need. And if we need to increase the length of custodial sentences for terrorism-related offences, even apparently less serious offences, that is what we will do.
So this is a little bit of Patriot Act redux in response to repeated terrorist attacks. And so this is another area where you can say, okay, we're going to treat individuals as enemy combatants. We're not going to treat this as a domestic policing matter. Or, again, I'm talking about this through an American perspective because these debates will extend beyond the boundaries of Great Britain. Or we're going to change the way we police and what rights and privileges persons in custody have. So that's a very different conversation. So extending domestic policing power, extending state power over the content online, this is where Theresa May is suggesting Britain go. Would you like to see America go in that same direction? I mean, but for the grace of God, have we seen another San Bernardino or Orlando nightclub in the last, short period of time?
It's been more than 6 months.
Yeah, it's a short period of time. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Dave and Racine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Dave from Racine here. Well,
yes.
Just a thought. Maybe the problem is they don't have sensible controls of edged weapons and or privately owned vehicles. Maybe if they would also allow them to take care of their carbon footprint if they were to get rid of privately owned vehicles. I mean, if we're going to go the same control method, blame the object instead of the individuals.
All right, thanks for the call, Dave. I picking up what you're putting down.
And this morning, another controversy. People in London are sounding off about President Trump's tweet. He, had a string of tweets this weekend. One is, we must stop being politically correct and get down to the business of security for our people. If we don't get smart, it will only get worse. And then he tweeted at least 7 dead, 48 wounded. And the mayor of London says there was, quote, no reason to be alarmed. All right, so I watched his 7-minute, 70 interview, and he did say there's no reason to be alarmed, but was he taken out of context? You decide.
How do you stop this kind of thing from happening in London? Is there a way?
Well, just like terrorists are constantly evolving, finding new ways to disrupt us, harm us, attack us, the police and experts and all of us are finding new ways to keep us safe. Londoners will see an increased police presence today and over the course of the next few days. No reason to be alarmed. One of the things the police and all of us need to do is make sure we're as safe as we possibly can be. I'm reassured that we are one of the safest global cities in the world, if not the safest global city in the world.
Really? You've had 3 attacks and, 2 in the last 3 months. But he said, no reason to be alarmed by the amount of police presence out on the streets.
So I don't have a problem with what Mayor Khan said there. But I do have a problem with Mayor Khan.
First Muslim mayor of London.
I have a problem with what he said in the past, where he's called moderate Muslims Uncle Toms, and I'm not going to let anybody forget that. He apologized for it in the context of a political campaign, but he still said it, and it wasn't that long ago. And that's something that's not a slip of the tongue. That's coming from someplace.
And unlike Theresa May, she seemed genuinely upset, and she kind of seemed compassionate. No, she seemed like she was shaken to the core, and he just seemed very, I mean, I'm not a body language expert, but there was no sense of urgency or upset rhetoric, gestures. I don't know what exactly it was, but he just didn't seem as concerned as she did.
The other thing, and here's something that Theresa May didn't say, and I'd like to hear somebody say it, or more to the point, act upon it. You know, one of the ways that you can address this, too, she's got that 4-point plan that she laid out. One of the things that was missing, at least any specific reference, why don't we stop importing it? I mean, I'm not talking about expelling persons that are of the Muslim faith. I'm not.
Or what about shutting down the mosques where they pray?
Well, I mean, well, if there's evidence
that's kind of extreme.
Well, if there's evidence that a mosque has been radicalized and is no longer just a church, but it's an incubator or a brain center for terrorist activity, that's a different thing. We should do the same thing here. Within, again, I look at this from an American perspective because this is a conversation that will not be limited to Britain. But what about the issue of importing it? And that's something that British Pauls are not tackling, neither. And I want May to defeat that lunatic Corbyn on Thursday. Mm-hmm. But May and Corbyn, of course, Corbyn's not saying it. He's a terrorist sympathizer. But May isn't saying it either. And that's got to be part of the discussion.
What about Mayor Khan? I mean, he is a Muslim. Why can't he come out and say, this has got to stop? My fellow prayers of Allah or to Allah, stop killing innocent people.
By contrast.
But he didn't say that. And I watched the whole interview. I was just waiting for the anger, waiting for this has got to stop right now. It never came.
By contrast, across the pond over here, President Trump, among his tweets over the weekend, was we need the travel ban as an extra level of safety, and a re-appeal to the travel ban, which drew this from CNN host Reza Aslan, who is Muslim, hosts a show on CNN.
Yeah, I thought he politicized the massacre in London.
Uh-huh. Here's what Aslan said.
Uh-oh.
This piece of Shiite is not just an embarrassment to an American, and a stand in the presidency is an embarrassment to humankind. I guess Mr. Aslan, he learned to speak like that at Harvard Divinity School.
Well, President Trump spoke last night real quick, and he sounded tough, and he wants this to stop. He's saying what I need to hear.
We renew our resolve, stronger than ever before, to protect the United States and its allies from a vile enemy that has waged war on innocent life, and it's gone on too long. This bloodshed must end. This bloodshed will end.
Right. And Jonathan Karl from ABC News is reporting that President Trump might go to London to show his support for the people.
Well, and I hope for Theresa May, even though there's some disagreements there, but he echoed her sentiment. Now, back here again, just in terms of, where is the conversation going, minus the bulwark of Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress, well, Linda Sarsour organized a rally outside Trump Tower where you had a few hundred Muslims praying in the wake of the terrorist attack. Listen to what she had to say. Remember, Linda Sarsour, she is a Hamas-linked advocate, quote unquote, for Muslims in the West, and particularly in America. And so just think about who would respond to a call from Linda Sarsour.
So today we're here for an iftar, which means break of fast during the holy month of Ramadan. We are here in front of the Trump Tower, which is just really a symbol of the kind of policies and the divisiveness and the hatred that we have seen come out of this administration that has really led to divisiveness of our communities, or to divide our communities. And here we're showing this is what New York City looks like. People, black people, brown people, progressive Jews and progressive white allies who have come here to say, we will break bread with you, we will stand in solidarity, we will embrace you, and we will stand with you against hate and divisiveness. So I'm so dishonored and humbled to be in spaces with people who have shown up for us time and time and time again.
Yeah. That's not the voice of moderate Muslim, the voice of a moderate Muslim, by the way. It's just the voice of the left. Let's go to Yehuda. Am I pronouncing that right? In Rogers Park?
No, it's Yehuda.
Yehuda. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Good morning, Dan and Amy.
Morning.
Great points as always, especially with, Dan, with your First Amendment issue that you bring up. So I want to mention a Second Amendment issue.
Okay.
I think here in America, what deters a lot of terrorists is that a lot of Americans are concealed carry holders or open carry holders, depending which state you live in. And I think that Great Britain doesn't have that luxury of having, the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I think that plays a role in it too.
Well, I think so too. I mean, thanks for the call. I appreciate that. I think about it just rationally. The terrorists are crazy. They're not crazy. They're ideologically driven. And do you want to attack people that are defenseless so that you could slaughter them with a knife? Or do you want to attack somebody who you think may have a gun and be able to defend themselves? They can make that calculation. Greg in Schaumburg.
And we have the additional problem in the United States where judiciary is blocking the executive from doing one thing, and that is examining the problem, and only for a limited period of time. I mean, it's absolutely maddening.
Thanks for the call, Greg.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935. The secret to how the rich keep getting richer is by passing down their wealth, generation to generation. If you do the same thing, you'll be leaving a legacy and be doing one of the most important things possible for the people you love. The ugly truth is, you don't have an estate plan. Everything you own, including your house, cars, investments, everything could be tied up in courts for a year or longer. It could cost your estate tens of thousands of dollars in probate and legal fees, even double government taxation. You can avoid this painful, costly mistake by contacting Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group. Tom hosts the Alpha Wealth Hour, heard Saturday mornings at 9 on AM 560, and has been a featured expert on Fox Business, Fortune, and Money Magazine. Right now, Alpha Wealth Group is offering you a free estate planning kit if you call 630-873-6326. That's 630-873-6326. 630-873-6326. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Hey, if you haven't bought a MyPillow yet, why not? Maybe you've seen them in a store, but the radio deal using my name, Amy, as the promo code is a much better deal. It's the best deal available. So in June, you'll receive the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack. That's 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for 50% off. And you can move the fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless if you sleep on your side or back. You'll get into deep sleep longer and wake up feeling refreshed, no stiff neck or headache. And there's a 10-year warranty on this bad boy and a 60-day money-back guaranteed. They're made here in America using American labor. Call 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy. 800-489-0201. Just do it.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. Rachel Carson was wrong about DDT. Paul Ehrlich's population bomb was a dud. Fashionable global cooling predictions about a coming ice age thawed. Now Chinese communists, European socialists, Hollywood leftists, and Fortune 100 CEOs suggest that America's failure to lead from behind with our own unenforceable politicians' pledges on carbon emissions spells the imminent demise of our mortal coil. The culprit messing up the grand plans of the jet setters? Same as it's always been. The middle-income family and the small business owner-operator who seek pedestrian pursuits like a job or lower energy costs. You are the demons who must be slayed so that noted scientists like Leonardo DiCaprio, Bette Midler, and Governor Moonbeam can remake the world in their image. You left billionaire fossil fuels investor turned megafunder of leftist zealotry Tom Steyer with no choice but to term you traitors and declare war. You see, Trump isn't their real target, you are. And conservation isn't their real goal, control is. The left has been using environmentalism as their cover story to exert control over you for 50 years. Your existence doesn't threaten the planet, just the left's dominion over it.
There's no feeling like grabbing a seat in a comfy chair to look through memories in a photo album. It's so much more enjoyable than looking at a computer or the small screen of a smartphone. An album of photos will last a lifetime. They can't be erased or become victim of a crashed hard drive. Print your photo memories at oneclickpics.com, your online photo center. Whether they're for an album, a gift, or framed for display, you want the very best quality. You can get that from the photo experts at oneclickpics.com. OneClickPics.com is a professional photo printer. You'll be amazed at the quality of your pictures, canvas prints, invitations, or announcements. You'll see details in your photos you've never seen before. And right now, when you buy 25 printed photo cards, you get 15 free. Use promo code 15FREE at checkout. Trust your digital picture memories to the photo technicians trained in every aspect of digital photo production. OneClickPics.com. OneClickPix.com.
Not even halfway through this first year in office, the political left and dinosaur media actually think they're going to impeach President Trump. Fake scandal after fake scandal dominate the headlines in the cable newsrooms, and not surprisingly, it's even causing establishment Republicans to get wobbly. Yeah, guess it didn't occur to them that making America great again was going to take some work. Sometimes work is hard. You know it, though, and so does the president. That's also why we're here. We never get wobbly. AM 560, The Answer.
5:57. Check of the morning roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Dominic Fortini.
Starting to get a little bit tighter on the inbound Kennedy, 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 10 from the junction, 8 in the inbound Express, outbound mostly slow on the west end, Foster to Sayre, 23 minutes downtown out to O'Hare, inbound Ike, 31 minutes from Thorndale in, while the inbound Stevenson, a little bit heavier now between First Avenue and Kedzie, also seeing some delays State to Lakeshore, 57 minutes from 355 in, inbound Ryan at 23 minutes, 95th into downtown with some brake lights inbound I-57 beginning near 111th, inbound Bishop 4 to the brakes near the Stony Island feeder, and keep in mind in the Elgin area, Route 31 going to be closed between National and Lawrence until mid-morning. It's shut down because it's blocked with a disabled freight train. Traffic's a service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, the easy-to-use AC Pro refrigerant with pressure gauge and quick connect hose is just $33.99, so keep your ride running longer, stronger, and cooler all summer long with AC Pro refrigerant. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly sunny, breezy, and cooler. High 72, clear night, low 53. Mostly sunny and breezy tomorrow. High 74, and a moonlit sky at night, low 53. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare, 72 along Chicago's lakefront. And at 5:59, here are the stories we're following in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. This update on news is a service of Half Price Books. Drivers can expect delays because of a stalled freight train in suburban Elgin. Actually, a UP train blew an engine early this morning. Autopsies expected on the bodies of 2 women and an infant. A girl found in a Joliet house fire. The autopsies are being performed. Firefighters found the bodies on the second floor of a 2-story home after responding to a blaze late Saturday. 2 are dead following an apparent murder-suicide in Chicago. It happened following a domestic argument in the 2500 block of West Lyndale Avenue. Authorities say one person was severely hurt after a helicopter crashed during takeoff from a small airport in southeast Wisconsin. Kenosha police say the crash was reported around 4:30 Sunday afternoon. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals. 2 home runs for Ian Happ. Justin Upton's 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth gave the Tigers a 7-4 win over the White Sox. Mostly sunny in your forecast, breezy and cooler with a high of 72, currently 65. More Dan and Amy after Fox News, WIND, Chicago News Time, 6.
The London victims came from all over. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It was also an attack on the free world.
Britain's Prime Minister as police conduct raids. Keep looking for anyone tied to the attackers who drove into people on London Bridge, then stabbed others on Saturday. Fox's Simon Owen live in London.
Dave, the Prime Minister saying police here have identified the 3 attackers, although their names haven't been made public yet. Theresa May also saying Britain must do much more to fight Islamic extremism, calling it an evil ideology. And she confirmed stepped up security in London.
The police have reported that they have put additional security measures in place to protect the public and provide reassurance.
That includes low-level barriers being installed along sidewalks on some bridges here. The first person to be named as killed in the attack is Chrissy Archibald, a 30-year-old Canadian. Dave?
Simon, north of you in Manchester.
Love conquers fear and love conquers hate.
Katy Perry at a benefit concert. 2 weeks after Ariana Grande's show was bombed, leaving 22 people dead, dozens more injured. President Trump's been reacting in public and online to London. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, speaking at a gala at Ford's Theater in Washington, President Trump said the nation is renewing its resolve to fight a vile enemy.
This bloodshed must end. This bloodshed will end.
The president also vowed,
I will do what is necessary to prevent this threat from spreading to our shores.
President Trump also again calling for his controversial travel ban to be unblocked, tweeting the Justice Department should have stood by his original ban, not what he called the watered-down, politically correct version submitted to the U.S. Supreme Court. Dave.
Rachel, Russia's president again dismisses the allegations of interference in the 2016 campaign. Putin says it's a load of nonsense, telling NBC's Megyn Kelly.
You created a sensation out of nothing. You people are so creative over there.
This is Fox News, fair and balanced.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Greta is a drill instructor.
Move, move, move!
Yes, ma'am! When it comes to training lean, mean, fighting machines, she doesn't mess around.
Drop and give me 3,000!
But when it comes to getting a mortgage, Greta's less confident.
I got nothing.
Fortunately for Greta, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so she can understand the details and know she's getting the right mortgage. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender license in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
A good parking lot is essential to a good building and a good business.
This is Kevin Berquist. My company is SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. Great parking lots. The name says it all. We make your parking lot great. We are an industry leader in seal coating. You can trust our company to do the work for your company. We have the same traditional values as you. We use a process and application that makes sure you get a great job that lasts a long time. I guarantee you'll have a good experience. Go to our website, greatparkinglots.com. Check it out, greatparkinglots.com.
Go to greatparkinglots.com. Schedule a free inspection and get a quote to make your parking lot a great parking lot. Save the expense. Fix, don't replace. Contact SKC Construction now for commercial parking lot seal coating and maintenance. SKC Construction, home of greatparkinglots.com. greatparkinglots.com.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-600-5909.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Wine Time Radio. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. on AM 560, explore the wonderful world of wine with host James Crooker and Rob Lehner.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, you know what's great about the whole Paris Accord discussion and extending on to rehashing the climate change debate, which has captivated the interest of about 2% of the American population. You get to hear from Al Gore again.
Oh, I know he's back.
Yeah.
And he's better than ever. A little puffy, a little grayer, but he's abiding by all the rules.
I think the massages help. He was on with Jake Tapper, and he addressed the criticism that he's received that Al Gore, are you ready for this? May be a bit of a hypocrite with respect to wagging his finger at the lives other people live while he lives a very ritzy life with a big carbon footprint. And he responded straight away to Al Gore.
Yeah, well, I don't have a private jet, and what the carbon emissions come from my trips on Southwest Airlines are offset. I live a carbon-free lifestyle to the maximum extent possible.
He doesn't need a private jet because Eric Schmidt lets him borrow his. Here's the thing. I mean,
that's awesome. He's not alcohol-free or drug-free, but he's carbon-free.
He's not totally carbon-free. If he was totally carbon-free, he wouldn't exist, which I would support. But here's the thing. Gore has 4 homes.
Yeah.
They got this compound in Montecito. They've got this huge mansion. Well, they don't because Tipper left him, but one of the two does. They bought them. Huge place in Tennessee, of course. There was the stories about this place in Tennessee, $30,000 a year in utility bills, right? You remember this? Yeah, carbon-free lifestyle does Al Gore live. That's fun.
It is funny.
All right, now let's...
Also,
go ahead.
Nikki Haley, she was on the UN ambassador to the U.S., was on to defend U.S. ambassador to the UN, thank you, to respond and to tell people how President Trump really feels about the climate. Guys, listen up. He cares.
President Trump believes the climate is changing, and he believes pollutants are part of that equation. So that is the fact. That is where we are. That's where it stands. He knows that that it's changing. He knows that the U.S. has to be responsible with it, and that's what we're going to do. Just because we got out of a club doesn't mean that we don't care about the environment.
Exactly.
There it is.
And you know who echoed that point that Nikki Haley just made is somebody who actually believes in climate change and believes that man is the primarily responsible for climate change, believes it's a serious thing. This is a Danish academic named Bjorn Lomborg, not to be confused with Lumberg from Office Space.
Okay. Oh,
different
thank you.
person.
Okay.
Not a Gary Cole character. This is a real professor from Denmark who also runs a nonprofit called the Copenhagen Consensus Center. He was on a podcast with Nick Gillespie over at the Reason Foundation. Here's what he had to say about the Paris Accord.
Paris Climate Accord. Tell us why it's a good thing that the United States has decided to rethink its participation.
So fundamentally, the two things you need to know about the Paris Agreement is, one, it is not going to do very much to tackle climate. So if you look at the UN's own estimate, if everyone had delivered everything they had promised, including Trump and the U.S., by 2030, the Paris Agreement would have delivered less than 1% of what it's promising. So very, very tiny impact on climate.
So it leaves 99% of the problem it says it's going to solve in place.
So the second thing is it's incredibly costly. It's probably the most costly treaty ever to be signed in history. So if you look at what is the likely cost across the main areas where we have good estimates, it indicates that it's probably around $1 trillion in cost if you do it in the most effective way. That means with carbon taxes in all the relevant regions. And if you don't, which is typically the way you do climate policy, it could easily be $2 trillion. So $1 to $2 trillion a year for the rest of the century, mostly in lost GDP growth. And the net benefit at the end of the century, even if you're very optimistic, will to have been reduced the temperature by about 0.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So spend $100 trillion to achieve virtually no climate benefit. That's a bad deal.
It's pretty succinct analysis. One other point that Mark Stein made over the weekend I liked is, for the left and for those who want to engage in this gloom and doom demagoguery that they've been engaging in for the last half century, going back to Rachel Carson and her DDT scare, which, by the way, cost millions of lives in places like South America that didn't eradicate malaria because of the hysteria around DDT and pesticides. What Stein says, it's a lot easier to say, hey, I'm busy saving the world than it is to focus on getting involved in your school district or getting involved in your municipality, your local government, your state government. That's not glamorous. It's not sexy. There's not rallies for it. So it's a lot easier to be this globalist who's busy saving the planet than it is to do anything meaningful in the space in which you live and the community which you spend most of your time. I thought that was an excellent point as well. For more excellent points on this and other topics, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Jimmy Pethokoukis, CNBC contributor and columnist for the American Enterprise Institute. Jim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning. And so your reaction to the reactions to the Trump decision to pull out of Paris last week?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm concerned about climate change. I think it's real. I think man has a role to play. It's driving it. So, I mean, what do you do? What I would have preferred is that Trump had gone out there and, kind of affirmed that, yeah, this is a thing. It's a long-term problem, and the way we need to deal with it is not through energy scarcity, not through top-down regulations, and that's really the problem with the Obama approach, but really through innovation, through new technology, nuclear power, innovation in clean energy, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't take climate activists seriously. Those persons who just rule out nuclear power. So I think that's the kind of future. That's the kind of vision I would have preferred to see presented, and that's not what we got. Instead, we got the world laughing at us and having no coal jobs or something. So I think there was a better way to go about it. I think it's actually kind of evidence-based and forward-looking.
So don't you think the U.S., though, has a good track record on reducing greenhouse emissions and gases?
Right. I mean, fracking coal, that's a great, listen, natural gas is a great sort of transition away from coal to hopefully cleaner energy sources in the future. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I don't think we, I don't think we have anything to apologize for that, but, now what do we do? The best sort of clean energy source we have is nuclear. That's not going particularly well. I think there are going to be amazing advances going on with solar. That's not here yet. And I think the answer is, listen, there's going to be a lot more people in the world in 100 years than there are today. But, they may, want to use a lot more energy, so we need a planet of energy abundance that is done in a way that doesn't harm the environment. And that's ultimately not going to be done through, regulations and having people use less energy. It's going to be through scientific innovation, which is what we've been doing for the past 200 years.
And, I mean, Larry Arnn was on with Hugh Hewitt, Larry Arnn from Hillsdale College, and he was saying what a lot of conservatives believe, and this is consistent with what you're suggesting, Jim, is that, look, let the solar power provide some hope for growing as an energy source. So let's see where solar power can take us as part of the overall effort to be energy independent and to reduce energy costs. So it's not opposition to any of these things. It's just the need to engage in these globalist approaches that necessarily, as Trump I think rightly said, turn out to be efforts to stick up the United States for money for other places.
I mean, listen, what might else have Donald Trump said? Listen, Trump likes making big, gigantic promises, so maybe he should have said, you know what? We're not going to reduce our carbon emissions by 25%. We're going to reduce them by 50%.
Right.
We're going to double it, and here's how we're going to do it. That may have been a huge claim, and then say, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do nuclear, big league. We're going to do a number on carbon emissions, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'd like to have heard. And maybe that wasn't the time or place for that kind of speech. I think it was. But I mean, listen. I think climate change is real. I think we need to do something about it. That something needs to be technological progress, advancement, and innovation. Not a future where living standards don't go up or are stagnant because we're worried about our carbon emissions and our carbon footprints.
Well, I know some people who are worried that their electric bill is going to go up now. Is that a possibility?
Going to go up now?
Yeah.
As a result of what? Nothing happened.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think that the left sometimes gets real lazy with the facts. And you got to hear this. Jimmy P., I was at Blaine-a-Palooza on Friday, and a fifth grader who wrote a whole paper on climate change was actually crying because we pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. And I said to her mom, I said, well, you need to tell...
That was no fifth grader. That was the president of the Sierra Club.
Stop it. I said, you need to tell her the fact. Nothing's going to happen until November 2020. And the $1 billion that we could, spend will be spent now on non-carbon energy and research. It's a better use of our money. And it's just hard for people to have processed this.
And look, now I can use this now to further my case when I yell at my kids to turn off the lights. So.
Exactly. Jimmy Pethokoukis, the fifth grade whisperer. Nobody knows how to calm the pre-adolescents like Jimmy P.
I mean, if you have kids crying, you need to tell them the truth to calm them down.
I believe a non-hysterical approach to policy.
Yeah, that's a good position. So, related stories, since energy sector is an economic driver, the jobs report last week, Friday, a little underwhelming. We're not, less about the jobs number, but more just about where we are with GDP growth, right?
Yeah, listen, job growth has slowed, and in a way, it's not unexpected. I mean, we've turned out a lot of jobs for the past years. But I think one interesting thing is that whenever we've had the unemployment rate around these levels, 4.3%, like the past 3 times or the past 50 years when it's been this low, it's been followed by something bad happening, whether it's the inflation of the 70s, whether it was the internet stock bubble bursting, or the housing bubble. So usually when we've had this low, we've had something bad happen. I hope that doesn't happen this time. I think you don't see the kind of, generally, kind of crazy financial stuff happening that you would think. But listen, inflation, the unemployment rate is low. I think I would like to see the Fed not raise interest rates right now. I'd like to see what happens if you try to run the economy. Maybe a little hot, get more people off the sidelines. But this might be about as good as it gets. And with wages aren't going up at any sort of crazy amount, which is kind of what you might expect given that the economy is not particularly productive right now. So yeah, this could be, unless we make big, longer structural change to our economy to increase growth, this is probably about as good as it gets.
Okay, well, that's sort of an uneven way to end the interview. I'd like to end with Jimmy on a positive note. That was very middle. Very middle.
Yeah, we're stumbling into the week.
James Pethokoukis, CNBC contributor, columnist for the American Enterprise Institute. Thanks for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, gang. Bye.
And you joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up next, did you see Megyn Kelly's big debut on NBC last night? Her exclusive with Vladimir Putin, who tells you, don't worry, be happy. But first, here's your forecast. Today, mostly sunny, breezy, a lot cooler than we're used to. A high of 72 degrees. And then the next 2 days look about the same. Mostly sunny skies. No rain in the forecast. Highs in the mid to low 70s. Let's get into our alarm detection systems. Traffic Center Dominic Fortini is in for Jim Telemonte.
Good morning. In Waukegan, a crash, Belvedere and Green Bay Road early on today, and in Downers Grove, an accident, Butterfield and Finley. In Elgin, Route 31 remains blocked between National and Lawrence until mid-morning. as crews work to free a disabled freight train that's blocking that. Eastbound 90 also having some issues between the Tri-State and the River Road Toll Plaza. Bulking up on the outbound side of the Kennedy, 39 minutes downtown out to O'Hare. Inbound early delays off the O'Hare extension cost you 24 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 10 in from the junction, 8 in the inbound express. Inbound Ike slowing from Wolfen to Des Plaines, 50 minutes from Thorndale in, 36 in from Manheim. Early on, heavy traffic on the inbound Stevenson between 1st and Kedzie, then near State Street, an hour 4 in from 355, 50 in from the Tri-State inbound Ryan, a half hour, 95th into downtown. Brake lights inbound I-57 cost you time beginning near 115th. They've got some issues inbound Bishop Ford with delays 103rd into the Ryan. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-500-3471. That's 1-800-500-3471. 1-800-500-3471.
Why choose Taboda and Associates to handle your retirement? Well, because we provide objective advice and concierge service, investments, insurance, retirement planning, all at one location. We also partner with qualified attorneys and CPAs to provide complete financial strategies for our clients. We use a variety of investment and insurance products to custom design retirement plans that can give clients a clear look at their future. We help you stay on the path toward financial independence. If you don't want to do it yourself and you want to work with a team to create a financial strategy for your future, give us a call. 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955. Would you rather get retirement advice from some TV show host who doesn't know anything about you, or Taboda and Associates? 630-777-7955. Taboda and Associates is a registered investment advisory firm. Jack Taboda is an investment advisor representative and insurance professional. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so Megyn Kelly's big debut yesterday on NBC News, where she played, in my opinion, she played Mean Gene Okerlund to Putin's Hulk Hogan. This was like just being a conduit for propaganda. I didn't find her interview particularly compelling.
Well, she asked basic questions. I mean, is there Russian hacking? What's your relationship with General Flynn? I don't know. She said in the interview before that interview aired, she sat down on Sunday morning Today Show and said, because she spent 3 days with Putin, and she said privately, he's great, asked about my family, I asked about him. We were very relaxed, it was a nice relationship. And then they got in front of the camera, and she said he was a completely different person.
Yes, boy, what a surprise, because Putin has an agenda, and he's going to use you, Megyn, as a conduit to push his propaganda the world over. This is about Mother Russia. This is about making friends with you. No. This is so silly. And also, to describe a tyrant this way, oh, he was very nice to me. I don't care. He's a tyrant.
He invades countries. Did you forget about that?
So what? That's just a portion of his tyranny. And here's the thing about Putin: what you're about to hear, believe a word of it. He's a propaganda minister par excellence, and so
you want to start with the hacking?
No, all of us. The best is he's got his own conspiracy theory about the hacking. Who actually did it? Like who killed Kennedy? The U.S. government.
There is a theory that Kennedy's assassination was arranged by the United States intelligence services. So if this theory is correct, and that can't be ruled out, then what could be easier in this day and age than using all the technical means at the disposal of the intelligence services and using those means to organize some attacks and then pointing the finger at Russia?
I thought Ted Cruz's father killed Kennedy. No, I mean, that's right. These conspiracy theories. I mean, CIA, this is the quality of what you're going to get from Putin. Of course, he's a KGB boss.
Well,
he's an autocrat. Okay. So the intelligence, who's the real responsible party? The same people who killed Kennedy, U.S. intelligence.
And then he blamed the Democrats for hacking themselves. It was crazy. And then 2 questions later, talked about patriotic hacking.
You had said for months that Russia had nothing to do with the interference of the American election. And then this week you floated the idea of patriotic hackers doing it. Why the change?
Well, I hadn't said anything. It's just that French journalist asked me about those hackers. I told him the same thing I can tell you. Hackers can be anywhere. They can be in Russia, in Asia, even in America, Latin America. They can even be hackers, by the way, in the United States.
Basically.
Yeah.
He was all over the map.
And with respect to hacking, there's no need to hack, said Putin. Because we don't care who the president is, because we know what you're going to do regardless.
We don't even have to do that. Presidents come and go, and even the parties in power change. But the main political direction does not change. That's why, in the grand scheme of things, we don't care who's the head of the United States. We know more or less what is going to happen.
And that's why the meetings with Russian Ambassador Kislyak yawn.
There were no meetings. You understand? There were no meetings. When I saw this, my jaw dropped.
No meetings between Ambassador Kislyak and anybody from the Trump campaign?
I have no idea. I'm being completely honest with you. I don't know. The routine job of an ambassador. Do you think that from all over the world or from the United States, the ambassador reports to me every day who he meets with or what they discuss there? That's complete nonsense. Do you even understand what you're asking
or
not?
You're his boss.
Listen, his boss is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Do you think that I have time to talk to our ambassadors every day, all over the world? Complete nonsense.
Complete nonsense. You know what an honest man does not say?
The truth?
No, I'm being completely honest. You don't need to say that if you're just being honest. Here's Putin.
What about, with General Flynn, his relationship with Flynn?
Well,
I have to get to that.
We'll get to that in 1 second. But just the issue of collusion generally. The whole collusion story generally. Here's Putin's take on Russian collusion with Trump.
For me, this is just amazing. You created a sensation out of nothing. And out of the sensation, you turned it into a weapon of war against the current president. Well, this is, you people are so creative over there. Good job. Your lives must be boring.
Well, he may have a point there.
Wow.
He may have a point there. Yeah, and then of course, so it was framed by this picture of Putin at a state dinner with General Flynn. So this was Megyn Kelly prompting to ask what the relationship was between him and Flynn.
Yeah, are they doing more than just holding hands?
You and I personally have a much closer relationship than I had with Mr. Flynn. You and I met yesterday evening. You and I have been working together all day today, and now we're meeting again. When I came to the event for our company, Russia Today, and sat down at the table, next to me there was a gentleman sitting on one side. I made my speech. Then we talked about some other stuff, and I got up and left. And then afterwards I was told, there was an American gentleman, he was involved in some things. He used to be in the intelligence services. That's it. I didn't even really talk to him. That's the extent of my acquaintance with Mr. Flynn.
So the enterprising interviewer would have said, well, okay, so you talked about what were those other things? Right. What were those other things that you talked about? That was the extent of it. So those other things you talked about didn't lead you to understand who he was. You had no idea who he was, the gentleman sitting next to you. You're not briefed on who's sitting at your table. You have no influence.
From America. Oh, yeah.
Right.
General.
A D&I director, no less, or under deputy director. Right?
Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah. Well, this is why. But, I mean, it was just Megyn Kelly setting up the ball on the tee, issue after issue, for Putin to knock out of the park to, again, promulgate his Mother Russia propaganda. That's why the only thing that was interesting was when Putin got a little bit annoyed and had fun at Megyn Kelly's expense about, you must live boring lives and stuff. But, I mean, there's nothing to extract from that interview that adds any value to the discussion we're having about Russia or the allegations of Russian collusion. So, to my mind, Megyn Kelly's off to a bit of a slow start.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, 2 comedians in hot water, Bill Maher for using the N-word, and Kathy Griffin, who did not do herself any favors with that news conference. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Outside, we have a beautiful start to the day, 66 degrees and sunshine, mostly clear skies. Later today, though, we will have a beach warning go up a little after 1 o'clock when the winds shift and rip currents develop along Lake Michigan shoreline. Prime Minister Theresa May says she is backing the new shoot-to-kill policy used by London police in responding to terror attacks. May saying that the policy used by London police saved countless lives by killing the 3 London Bridge attackers within 8 minutes on Saturday night. More are being held for questioning this morning in the London Bridge terror rampage that killed 7 and left dozens hurt. Counter-terror officers carried out fresh raids this morning in East London. President Trump says America is backing Britain after the London attack.
America sends our thoughts, our prayers, and our deepest sympathies to the victims of this evil slaughter, and we renew our resolve, stronger than ever before, to protect the United States and its allies from a vile enemy.
One tourist says he feels lucky to be alive this morning and back in the United States after the attacks in London. He was on London Bridge with his family about an hour before the weekend terror attack. Patrick DeHaan says he and his family had added a day to their European vacation before heading home to Michigan to see the sights in London on Saturday.
You wonder if this could have been you. And it's just really the luck of the draw.
DeHaan says he woke up to dozens of texts from friends and family wondering if they were okay. Al Jazeera reporting that trucks carrying food for Qatar are lining up across the border in Saudi Arabia. They're unable to enter the country amid a diplomatic row between it and other Arab nations. Jury selection set to resume today in the trial of a former University of Cincinnati police officer, Ray Tenzing. Is charged with murder and voluntary manslaughter in the shooting of an unarmed black man during a traffic stop. Apple begins its annual software-focused worldwide developers conference today. The tech giant uses the gathering of coders and app creators to unveil a smart speaker, perhaps, for its Siri digital assistant. Autopsies are expected on the bodies of 2 women and an infant girl found in a Joliet house fire. Their names have not been released. The fire remains under investigation. An investigation underway after a Chicago police officer and another man were wounded in a shooting over the weekend. Happened on the south side near 81st and South Maryland. Major League Baseball outfielder and a former television commentator for the White Sox and Texas Rangers, Jimmy Pearsall, passed away Saturday at a care facility in Wheaton. He was 87. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals. Justin Upton's 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth gave the Tigers a 7-4 win over the White Sox. The news a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 6:34 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next. on AM 560.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet, get one free. Visit us online at galaxyhome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, you should give Physicians Mutual Insurance Company a call. 1-800-400-4811. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away. So you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-400-4811. That's 1-800-400-4811. 1-800-400-4811.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
636. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Dominic Fortini.
Emergency crews working with a crash in Oakbrook at 22nd and Butterfield. On the west side, traffic lights are dark at Cermak and Kedzie. An Elgin disabled freight train blocks Route 31 between National and Lawrence. Should be in place at least through the mid-morning. Inbound side of the Edens at 23 minutes, Lakehoe to the Junction, while the inbound side of the Kennedy heavy off the O'Hare extension this morning. 32 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 12 in from the Junction, 10 in the inbound Express. Inbound Ike, 59 minutes from Thorndale in. Outbound delays Cicero to Wolf cost an hour 3 from the post office to Thorndale. Inbound Stevenson, heaviest between State and Lakeshore, ongoing road construction there, an hour 8 in from 355, while the inbound side of the Rhine affected by travel right about 35th in both the Express and the locals. 33 minutes, 95th in at downtown. Some brake lights inbound I-57 near 115th, and slowdowns continue on the inbound Bishop Ford near 111th. Traffic's the service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, the easy-to-use AC Pro refrigerant with pressure gauge and quick connect hose is just $33.99. So keep your ride running longer, stronger, and cooler all summer long with AC Pro refrigerant. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Sunny, breezy, and cooler today, high 72, clear and 53 overnight. Currently, 63 at O'Hare, 72 along the lakefront. This morning, it's 55 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy comes your way now. And make sure to join me, Larry Elder, tonight at 7, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So the question, how vile is Kathy Griffin, as well as her studio audience, Lisa Bloom, her spokesbeing/attorney? How vile are they? They're so vile, they don't even meet the Roseanne Barr good taste standard.
Really?
Roseanne Barr took out after Kathy Griffin, saying, 2 of my grandsons are Barron Trump's age. I would slap the F out of any B or any P who upset them. Trust me on that.
Well, she had a kind of crazy press conference on Friday, which I swear she did not do herself any favors. She said if she could, she would have used a blow-up doll with ketchup rather than a fake head with, fake blood on it. It was a little bit psychotic because she was trying to, when comedians try to apologize, it wasn't apologize. She became the victim. And she said that Donald Trump is attacking her to take America's attention off the FBI investigation onto him.
No, but that's part of what she said.
Part of it, right.
But how self-indulgent was this? How preternaturally unable to accept responsibility for what she did? The Trump family is trying to destroy her life, her career forever and ever. That's the real victimization. That's the real kind of look at me, somebody throw me a life preserver.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of the press conference.
All 6 of her remaining shows have been canceled. So here she is saying that they're trying to destroy me.
I don't think I will have a career after this. I think he, I'm going to be honest, he broke me. He broke me. And then I was like, no, this isn't right. It's just not right. And I apologized because that was the right thing to do and I meant it. And then I saw the tide turning and I saw what they were doing and I went, oh, okay, they're trying to spin this and they're making it about Barron, and obviously that was never my intent. I would never want to hurt anyone, much less a child, but I started to see what was really happening. And then it was a mob mentality pile-on. And so many people have expressed to me personally across the country at my shows, they're scared. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to risk it today. I don't know.
What do you think is inspiring you?
And so here's the thing. Here's where she blames the family. Blame goes right after the family. It's all the Trump family's fault, what they're doing to her.
If you don't stand up, you get run over. And what's happening to me has never happened, ever, in the history of this great country, which is that a sitting president of the United States and his grown children and the First Lady are I feel personally, trying to ruin my life forever. Forever. You guys know him. He's never going to stop.
Yeah, and by the way, on the point of Barron, a reporter asked her after she was done with her little 7-minute stand-up routine about using Barron, referencing Barron before in her act, and saying she was going after Barron. Not that that's off limits, but it is a question of taste.
And it's not funny.
Well, and it's also she's being disingenuous, as is her sidekick there, Lisa Bloom,
who was her laugh track. I mean, every time she tried to tell a joke, because she went through coherent moments, and then when she was trying to be funny, she was really a hot mess. And I know I use that a lot, but she wants to make sure, Dan, that this doesn't happen to any other comedian.
This is America, and you shouldn't have to die for it. The death threats that I'm getting are constant, and they are detailed, and they are serious, and they are specific. And today it's me, and tomorrow it could be you.
Yeah,
could be me.
So, yeah, I'm an obnoxious comedian. I'm not the most famous person in the world. I'm just standing here with Lisa. I have an amazing First Amendment attorney, Alan Isaacman, if you're not familiar with his work.
Thank you for your retinue of lawyers. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Feel any sympathy or empathy for Kathy Griffin? You think she has a point? Is President Trump and his family trying to destroy her, and that's unfair to her? Should people fear for their lives because they do something outlandish and they get a response from the president? Whether the president should have responded or not is kind of secondary, but it's a fair question. But it's secondary. The president responds, and thus her life has been threatened. Why? Because the Secret Service went and talked to her, like the Secret Service went and talked to that rodeo clown that made fun of Obama. And the D.C. press corps cheered that. Here's what's actually happening. Kathy Griffin's losing her friends. Fox News reporting over the weekend that she was very disappointed that Anderson Cooper criticized her.
Yeah. Well, she had a 10-year contract with them, and she even started crying in the press conference about that, about losing her relationship with CNN.
Right. So she's worried about the money. She's worried about being ostracized by the left. Right? Who's in control of these news agencies and Hollywood, by the way. And here's her doing the woe is me, everybody's turned on me, somebody throw me a lifeline.
My whole career, I'm 56 years old. I'm 110 pounds wet. I've had everybody turn on me, and I just want to make people laugh. That's all I want to do. So I screwed up. But I want the gay guy who came to see me in Lake Charles, Louisiana a few weeks ago, who said, I wanted to come here because I'm scared to come out, but I get to come here and laugh for 2 hours. That's what I'm telling you. That's why I'm here. It's honestly, it's not for me. It's for them. I think a few people might actually be watching me, and I want them to see this old dame. I'm not laying down for this guy. I'm going to make fun of him. I'm going to make jokes about him and the housewives and Kardashians. But, you know,
There's
he
Lisa
does provide
Bloom,
a lot of
studio audience.
material.
She said that even her mom, who loves Fox News and Tucker Carlson, is upset with her.
But did you catch what she said? It's not about me. She's just here to provide a little laughter in the world. She's a giver. She's selfless, like all Hollywood entertainers. It's never about them. It's not about her. Can't you just give her a second chance to spread love and laughter like she used to, like to that gay guy in Louisiana that was afraid to come out but went to her show and found a new lease on life? This is the sentimental bull jive that a self-indulgent, narcissistic twit like Kathy Griffin offers with cheerleaders present. That was the quintessential Kathy Griffin. It's not about her. This press conference, not about her.
It's about her fans.
It's about, all the fans.
She took it a step too far when she said that this is all, drummed up by the Trump administration as a distractor for the FBI investigation.
I'm going to make fun of him more now. More. So I'm not going to threaten him. I have no desire to harm him or anyone. I would never want to harm anybody.
Yeah.
But, I made fun of W. I made fun of Clinton. God, remember the Monica dress days? Those are the days.
It's such a straw man argument.
You could make dress jokes all day long, and nobody tried to kill you.
It's such a straw man argument. It's such a straw man argument. She's going to make fun of presidents like she has before.
Well, she tried to do a stand-up routine during her press conference. This is 20 seconds.
Fox News ain't got nothing on me. Although I think you should know my mother.
I told you about that already.
Well, but I mean,
it was
it's just
bizarre.
Is anybody suggesting you can't make fun of the president? No. Make fun of the president. Tell jokes about the president. Go ahead. Do whatever you want.
Decapitate. No, don't. But you can't. She took it too far. She had a beheaded Donald Trump with fake blood all over his face, and it looked like what has been going on to the Coptic Christians.
Well, right.
The beheading. That's why, a lot of people are upset.
Well,
and she addressed it like, I performed in front of the troops overseas. Yeah, good job.
These straw man arguments because she can't defend the baseline of what she did, which she apologized for. Okay, fine. But now she has to take it to, I'm being frozen out, so let me back in.
Well,
that's what the press conference
and
was
also,
about.
too, I live in a man's world, and I've had men try to put me down my whole life, and I'm not going to let this white man, President Trump, keep me down, too.
I know. Another straw man argument. Nobody's keeping her down. This is all a plea for her to get work, for her to be let back into the circle.
Oh, I didn't think she didn't do herself any favors.
By the way, on that whole point about comparing it to what ISIS does to the Coptic Christians, there was a funny little spoof in duffelblog.com. ISIS condemns Kathy Griffin for cultural appropriation. Because that's what the left is always talking about, cultural appropriation. Yeah, hey, you're stealing our act. It's a little fun. By the way, one person has rallied.
I'm not laughing.
One person has rallied to Kathy Griffin's defense. Of course, that's Alec Baldwin.
Well, and Rosie O'Donnell, Jamie Foxx, and Jim Carrey.
Yeah, like I said, Alec Baldwin. Yeah. And all of his
friends. Well, they're a small little group of friends.
That's nice.
They're comedians.
And even Al Franken.
Well, he canceled his event with her for July.
I know.
But at first he defended her.
And then he didn't.
Yeah.
Pat in Lockport, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Kathy's complaining about the fact that she's, 56 years old? Well, wouldn't it be nice if she acted that way? What she did was insensitive, crude, and unbelievable. And then she sounds like Hillary Clinton's protege. Well, who are we going to blame for this? Oh, my God, the Trumps are coming after me. This one's coming after me, blah, blah, blah. Grow the hell up, lady. Get a real job and wake up.
Thanks for the call,
And they weren't
Pat.
even coming after her. They just questioned her mental stability. That's what Melania did. And then Donald Trump tweeted something about it upset his 11-year-old son, Barron. That's it. I don't know how she thinks they'll keep going after her. It's the American people who saw what she did that don't want her around anymore. They're not going to buy tickets. That's why her 6 shows got canceled.
Bridget in Elmhurst.
Hey, you guys. Good show. I just kind of echoing what everybody else is saying. it shows that the left has lost their moral compass totally.
Well.
And just because you have the First Amendment right to say or do something, actions have consequences, and it doesn't mean you should do it. And so I think, just like everybody else, she pushed it just a little too far. She has no substantive argument for what she's doing, and she just won't take responsibility. She needs to put on her big girl panties and just go away.
Thanks for the call, Bridget.
Should have never have had that press conference.
So Kathy Griffin can't meet the Roseanne Barr good taste standard, and it turns out Bill Maher can't meet the Kathy Griffin good taste standard. Bill Maher, over the weekend, live show of his Politically Incorrect on HBO, wherever the heck it's called, and he's interviewing Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse about his new book, and this happens.
Be a kid thing.
It's not anymore?
Not out here. No, adults dress up for Halloween. They don't do that in Nebraska?
It's frowned upon. Yeah, we don't do that quite as much. But
wow, I got to get to Nebraska more.
You're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the field?
That's part of that. That's...
Senator, I'm a house. No, it's a joke. Thank you. You're still working in the fields out there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we want our kids to suffer.
Yeah.
That's not... So Senator
Senator,
Sasse didn't...
I'm a house N-word is what he said.
And he didn't do anything to fix what was going on right in front of him. He tweeted out later that he should have done more to... I don't know exactly what the tweet was.
Yeah, well...
Oh, here, yeah.
Well...
He had three reflections on what had happened. And he should have, talked about the history of the N-word is an attack on universal human dignity, and I should not have let him use it in front of me.
Right. Maher apologized. Sasse sort of apologized for not, for kind of laughing along or just being silent in the face of that word. You know what I think, too, and I'm not saying this is necessarily a specific instance, but Sasse, what happens when these pals, even conservative pals or pundits or authors go on these shows, is they think, oh, I'm gonna yuck it up. I gotta be funny. I gotta, play ham and egg with Bill Maher. So when he says something outrageous, like he said, when he says something indefensible, like he said, then I'll just stay silent or I'll laugh along. Well, no, actually, you need to understand who you're dealing with when you go into an interview. You need to understand who your audience is, and you need to be prepared to say what you would normally say if you heard that in polite conversation at a cocktail party, which would not be polite conversation any longer if somebody used that word. And so the defense of Bill Maher from his fans, it was a joke, yucking it up. Is that funny? Was it a joke when Michael Richards used it in his stand-up routine, jawboning with an audience member? I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's appropriate. There's no need to use that word. Sasse is right to talk about the history of it. It's purely for shock value. It's purely a look at me. It's purely a look. I break all the boundaries. I'm taboo, and it's the same thing Kathy Griffin did with the Trump head. Mm-hmm. I'm taboo. I'm outlandish. I'm pushing the parameters. I'm a shock comedian, and that's how they draw attention because the underlying substance is so otherwise anemic. But
HBO hasn't done anything to him yet. They haven't suspended him or canceled his show like some African-American comedians want them to do.
And Chance the Rapper does, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how about that? Verlin on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right. How y'all doing today?
Hey, good.
Now, when it comes to Kathy Lee Griffin, she needs to understand what she did was a Class E felony. No matter how serious or innocent, you can't threaten the president's life, even in a picture, okay? And to Bill Maher, with Bill Maher, it's always a deeper meaning. Now, what he did, it's a certain amount of entitlement he feels of some sort of black privilege. He thinks he's black. Let me tell you something, Bill Maher.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something to all you white guys on the left. Just because you sleep with black women and you hang with black people, it doesn't make you black, and you don't get a black pass. So just because you think you cool, don't give you the right to use that word.
Yeah, I love that.
Get some sense.
Thanks for the call, bro. That's a great point. It's the how the left thinks they're down with the struggle, so they can talk like a gangster rapper, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, if they use it, then I could use it. No, you never, ever, ever use the N-word, ever.
Bill Maher, you little panty waste.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Executives from IBM, Walmart, and other companies sticking with the president. A hot home cooked meal service plans to go public. Those stories next.
Ever since the 70s, Americans from every socioeconomic strata have been held hostage by imaginary energy shortages. Think I'm exaggerating? Just Google oil embargo and you'll see pictures of lines of cars miles long waiting to get gas. But that's all about to end. There's a new compound that could be about to turn the fuel and automotive industries on their ear. And it's one of those investment opportunities that comes along once in a generation. Companies like Ford, Chrysler, Honda, GM, and Toyota are quietly investing billions to accommodate this new OBL superfuel that could put an end to America's dependence on foreign oil once and for all. Now you can learn more about this opportunity when you call 800-642-9454 or visit oblsuperfuel.com to get in on the ground floor before it's too late. Call 800-642-9454 now to get a seat in a free webinar that can show you how to capitalize on this opportunity. Call 800-642-9454 and leave an email or visit oblsuperfuel.com. 800-642-9454.
Brought to you by Money Map Press.
Despite headlines that some business leaders are quitting President Trump's Business Advisory Council because of his Paris Climate Accords withdrawal, leaders of Walmart, IBM, and other major companies are staying with the president. Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase says business leaders need to remain engaged with the Trump administration. Economic reports starting the new week include first quarter productivity from the Labor Department and a report on factory orders for the month of May. Blue Apron, the meal kit delivery service, filing to go public. The company had revenue of almost $800 million last year and claims it had 1 million customers in the first quarter. Blue Apron is part of a wave of companies selling deliveries of ingredients for meals cooked at home. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
I hope I look that good when I'm 76.
She's in a new movie, Raquel Welch, we're talking about. She looks stunningly gorgeous. 7, I'll have what she's having.
Yeah, right. Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do each morning on this show. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series. Podcast of our Illinois Rising program, which covers state policy and politics. We'll continue our discussion on the budget impasse and where it goes now that a 60% vote of the General Assembly is needed for a state budget. Man on the Street interviews and our Follow the Logic segments. My 60 Seconds of Sanity this week on the Paris Accord. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
What are you doing the 4th of July? Get to the Bolingbrook Golf Club Tuesday, July 4th starting at 2 p.m. There's fun for the entire family and free admission. Check out live music and great food. Plenty of kids' activities and inflatables. Choose from over a dozen local restaurants and food trucks. Then the highlight of the 4th of July, a 30-minute fireworks show presented by the Village of Bolingbrook. Don't miss the 4th of July blowout at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. More info at bolingbrookgolfclub.com. Sponsored by COTG, Pepsi, Southern Glacier, and Miller Lite.
How's that kitchen remodel coming along?
I haven't found a reliable contractor and have no idea where to start.
What about Home Advisor?
Home what?
Home Advisor. They match you to pre-screened and top-rated pros for any kind of home project. You can even check pricing and book appointments online.
What's the catch?
No catch. Home Advisor is completely free to use.
Really? I'll check it out.
Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free app.
Home Advisor. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about Balance of Nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase. I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true.
I'm a big supporter of the product. 2 winters ago, I had, between November and March, I had 5 head colds, and each time it was like a 2-week ordeal. Last winter with your product, I didn't have a single one.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
He calls it an evil slaughter. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump reacting to the London terror attack.
We renew our resolve, stronger than ever before, to protect the United States and its allies from a vile enemy.
Saying last night the bloodshed will end. This morning he's fired off a bunch of tweets about his travel ban. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, President Trump tweeting the Justice Department should have fought for his original executive order, restricting travel from 7 nations, including Iraq, which was not included in the revised version. Specific language regarding Christians also removed. The president called the ban submitted to the U.S. Supreme Court politically correct and watered down. He also called on the Justice Department to redouble its efforts and seek an expedited hearing before the court and also seek a much tougher version of the ban. Dave.
Rachel, there are 11 people in custody in Britain following Saturday's terror attack that left 7 people dead, 21 in critical condition.
Authorities also say they know who the 3 killers are. There's already criticism surrounding one. He is said to have been known to police for at least low-level recruiting to extremist causes. ISIS is now claiming responsibility for the attack.
Fox's Greg Palcott in London. Bill Cosby goes on trial today in the only criminal case to come out of his sex scandal. Fox's Gernal Scott live outside the court in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Dave, depending on which side you're on, this trial has been either anticipated or dreaded for years. For Bill Cosby, the erosion of his image as America's dad in many eyes has already been determined with or without a guilty verdict. Cosby is accused of drugging Temple University employee Andrea Constand and having sex with her. Constand's case carries the weight of other accusers whose claims will not be heard here. She's expected to testify. He, however, is not. Dave.
Gernal, they'll start to pick a jury today in Massachusetts in the manslaughter trial of a girl who was 17 in 2014 when police say she encouraged her boyfriend to commit suicide in a series of text messages. One read, "You just need to do it," and he did. Fox News, fair and balanced.
65 degrees, mostly sunny skies. For now, winds are calm, but they will be switching to the north-northeast. That could provide us with some rip current problems along the Lake Michigan shoreline later this afternoon. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Here are the stories we're following this morning. Drivers can expect big delays because of a stalled train in Elgin. A Union Pacific freight blew an engine this morning. We get an update and details on that in just a moment in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Dominic Fortini. A search resumes this morning for a woman who went missing after diving into Lake Michigan on Chicago's north side. The woman was last seen entering the lake at Montrose Avenue Beach last night. Autopsies are expected on the bodies of 2 women and an infant girl found in a Joliet house fire. Autopsies are being performed. Firefighters found those bodies Sunday on the second floor of a 2-story home, responding to that blaze. 2 are dead following an apparent murder-suicide in Chicago. Police say a man shot and killed Shante Neveth yesterday during an argument in the 2500 block of West Lyndale Street. Later on the west side, the gunman was found with what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Unionized Chicago charter school teachers begin voting later today on whether to join the Chicago Teachers Union. Chicago Alliance of Chartered Teachers and Staff believes a merger would help its members survive and thrive in what they call a challenging political environment. Crews have recovered the body of a 3rd worker from the rubble of a corn mill explosion that happened in central Wisconsin. Didion Milling says the body of a packing machine operator was recovered Sunday afternoon. The company says the body of Pavel Tordov was found Friday, but recovery was delayed until late yesterday, until engineers determined it was safe to send crews into the site. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals in Chicago. Tigers topped the White Sox with a ninth-inning comeback and a 7-4 win. UIC's run at the NCAA baseball tournament is over. Flame season comes to an end with a 5-4 loss to Mississippi State. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
A good parking lot is essential to a good building and a good business.
This is Kevin Berquist. My company is SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. Great parking lots. The name says it all. We make your parking lot great. We are an industry leader in seal coating. You can trust our company to do the work for your company. We have the same traditional values as you. We use a process and application that makes sure you get a great job that lasts a long time. I guarantee you'll have a good experience. Go to our website, GreatParkingLots.com. Check it out, GreatParkingLots.com.
Go to GreatParkingLots.com. Schedule a free inspection and get a quote to make your parking lot a great parking lot. Save the expense. Fix, don't replace. Contact SKC Construction now for commercial parking lot seal coating and maintenance. SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. GreatParkingLots.com.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Kyle is a dog trainer.
Okay, sit. Good boy.
In his personal time, Kyle's a personal trainer.
1, 2, good.
Kyle knows how to get results, but when it comes to mortgages, he's less confident.
Guilty as charged.
Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so he can understand the details and know he's getting the right mortgage. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
7:06 and a check of the roads in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Dominic.
As you mentioned, in Elgin, Route 31 remains shut down between National and Kimball because of that blown engine on that Union Pacific train. Police on the scene directing traffic, and authorities have told us it should be shut down until mid-morning. Also now have 2 right lanes closed on the outbound side of the Bishop Ford due to a rollover crash right near Stony Island that'll back things up into 103rd. Looks like we're slow rolling into our Monday morning on the inbound side of the Kennedy. 42 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 19 in from the junction, 17 in the inbound express. Delays outbound cost you an hour or 2 already downtown out to O'Hare. Things thick on the inbound Ike, an hour 3. Thorndale in, outbound trip at 58 minutes. Inbound Stevenson, an hour 11 from 355 into the drive, an hour 1 in from the Tri-State. Things get pretty bulky as you approach the Ryan. Inbound Ryan at 40 minutes, 95th into downtown. Inbound 957 still on the brakes near 111th into the Ryan. Southbound Lakeshore starting to slow up near 18th onto the Stevenson. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Mostly sunny and breezy today, gusts up to 30 miles per hour, high 72, clear night low 53. Tomorrow mostly sunny, breezy, gusts up to 30 miles per hour, high 74, and a moonlit night low 53. And Wednesday mostly sunny with a high 74. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, I've got a question I want to develop, and it's taken from a debate about a year and a half ago, one of these Intelligence Squared debates. This one was in New York City. The question is Islam a religion of peace? Is Islam a religion of peace? And the follow-up question, if it's not, can it be reformed into one? Take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. I think it's worthy of revisiting that question in the light of yet another terrorist attack in London on Saturday night. And this was an underreported story, Amy. Mm-hmm. How much has Islamic terrorism taken hold in Europe? How on edge is Europe? Did you see the story out of Italy? More than 1,000 soccer fans watching the Champions League final in one of Turin's main squares Saturday were injured when loud bangs created panic and mayhem. 1,400 people were treated for slight injuries, 7 people seriously hurt, including a 7-year-old boy trampled. Fireworks, people mistook for a bomb, and it turned into, not to be light about it, but it turned into a Who concert. It was a panic, a stampede.
A stampede, yeah.
So
that's happened before at sporting events and even, the nightclub in Chicago on South Michigan Avenue.
Right, but this is terrorism
Stampede,
related.
Right, that's terrorism. But they heard bang, bang, bang. It was the fireworks probably because they scored a goal or won the game, and they thought, oh, my God, we're under attack.
1,400 people injured. That's the kind of panic fireworks set off in Turin, okay? In addition to how on edge London is today and England generally, after the terrorist attack on Saturday night, after which Theresa May responded with a 4-point plan. But here's fundamentally what she said in terms of what Britain has to address and the West.
We cannot and must not pretend that things can continue as they are. Things need to change, and they need to change in 4 important ways. First, while the recent attacks are not connected by common networks, they are connected in one important sense. They are bound together by the single evil ideology of Islamist extremism that preaches hatred, sows division, and promotes sectarianism.
So the ideology of Islamic extremism. And we've said it on this show, and we'll say it again, and we'll talk to Dr. Zudi Jasser at the top of the 8 o'clock hour about it. Is it a small percentage of Muslims the world over who are radicalized and commit terrorist acts or are on a path to committing terrorist acts? Well, yes, it's a small percentage.
Right, but even the moderate Muslims aren't outraged. I want to see more anger. And even CNN had a broadcast yesterday where they were a group of Muslim moms. It was about 4 women. And they moved them to be behind the reporter. So it was kind of staged.
Yeah.
Well, it was staged. It was fake news. Were they there? Yes. And the police let them cross the line so that they could be behind them. But you're offering me up 4 women who are mad, and then some of their husbands and 2 of their kids. That's it. That's the outrage. I mean, if Episcopalians were slaughtering people all over the world, we would have huge marches protesting their behavior, denouncing their behavior. Instead, you have the mayor of London, first Muslim mayor, coming out saying, there's no reason to be alarmed with all the increased police presence.
How do you stop this kind of thing from happening in London? Is there a way?
Well, just like terrorists are constantly evolving, finding new ways to disrupt us, harm us, attack us, the police and experts and all of us are finding new ways to keep us safe. Londoners will see an increased police presence today and over the course of the next few days. No reason to be alarmed. One of the things the police and all of us need to do is make sure we're as safe as we possibly can be. I'm reassured that we are one of the safest global cities in the world, if not the safest global city in the world.
I'm not assured of that. I mean, the UK has had 3 attacks in 3 months.
Yeah, I mean,
I would hardly call it the safest place in the world.
But
where's his outrage?
What Sadiq Khan said there doesn't upset me. He's trying to be reassuring. I understand that. But Sadiq, I have grave concerns about Sadiq Khan. as a civilian political leader because of what he said previously, which is that moderate Muslims are Uncle Toms. He apologized for saying that during his mayoral campaign, but he absolutely said it. And what he said 13 months ago, where Trump is making America and the UK and the West less safe by failing to engage moderate Muslims, and London is showing the way. Well, 13 months later, I think it's difficult to make the case that London's showing the way. So I don't think Zudi Khan has it right, and neither does the left in Britain, as represented by Jeremy Corbyn, who's up for election on Thursday, and it's a very tight race with Theresa May. Problem, as Mark Stein pointed out in his piece over the weekend, More Than London Bridge is Falling Down, is that both parties in England are not really addressing one of the main problems in terms of the frequency of these terrorist attacks, is that England, like so much of Western Europe, has been importing the terrorists. So that's an issue.
And some are born here, but they don't have any allegiance to their country. They pledge allegiance to ISIS or Al-Qaeda, and ISIS is taking responsibility for this latest attack as well, but we don't know if they were influenced by them or if they were trained by them.
So understanding the nature of the threat, that goes to the ideology and then how you deal with it. And so that requires that more of us in the West develop a greater understanding of Islam, clearly. And so I go back to this debate from 18 months ago. On one side, it was Ayan Hirsi Ali. Of course, she wrote the book Infidel. She's a former Muslim woman who was mutilated. Mm-hmm. And she speaks out against Muslim extremism, Islamic extremism, terrorism. She had to leave the Netherlands because her life has been threatened. She travels with security guards. I mean, she's like the modern-day Salman Rushdie. And then Douglas Murray, who's the founder and director for the Center of Social Cohesion in Britain, they were on one side arguing that Muslim is fundamentally not a religion of peace in its current form. And on the other side was Majid Nawaz, who is the director of a Quilliam Foundation. He's actually a reformed terrorist who spent 4 years in prison in Egypt and now is, in his own way, from the left, trying to address the problems within Islam. And Zeba Khan, who's a writer and advocate, she's an Indian Muslim woman. They were on the other side arguing that Islam is a religion of peace. Douglas Murray really stole the show, and he made a number of important points that I just want to share because, again, I think we need to start to develop a deeper understanding of Islam if we're going to have a conversation that engages moderate Muslims and also dispels this notion of Islamophobia, which focusing on the threat, small as it is, but great with respect to a small percentage of a big number is a big number, right? 1%, let's say it's 1% worldwide. That's 15 million people.
Yeah.
That's and the number of incidents, the frequency of them, and the kind of attitude of the West that this is just a part of living in big urban centers. This is part of living in a free society, which is sort of the language of appeasement, I find problematic. So Douglas Murray starts with a little reminder about who Muhammad actually was, right? The Prophet Muhammad.
Paris. Then you've got the life of Muhammad. Again, a bad man, a very bad man, it has to be said. Not a great role model, if you look at it. Takes child brides, abuses a small girl, multiple wives, himself a warrior, himself a war criminal, himself beheads Jews. This, I would have thought, would be a signal of not great peacefulness.
Yeah. That's a signal. So this is the spiritual leader, right? Allah spoke to the Prophet Muhammad.
Right. And by the way, we should mention during the attacks after they rammed into a crowd with their van on the London Bridge, then they got out their 12-inch knives and machetes and were stabbing people saying, praise Allah, and this is for Allah, while they were killing people and slashing their throats.
And Murray goes after this idea that Islam has nothing to do with the terrorist attacks. But what would the left say if, the example you gave, if it was Episcopalians or Christians generally or Jews?
It's an absurd situation we're in, where nothing that anyone does whilst being Muslim is any responsibility of Islam's. Yet anything anyone does whilst being a Christian or a Jew is responsibility of all Christians, all Jews.
Right. So the inconsistency of the left, and he makes the point too on to say Islam is a religion of peace.
It is not a small. It is not a small thing. It's not, as it were, a detail. It's not like a wacky Florida pastor that you've got the largest Sunni state of Saudi Arabia, the most important Sunni state in the world, the most extraordinary closed prison of a society. It's not a detail. It's not a one-off nut job. The Shiite Republic of Iran is what it is, led by the people it's led by. That is not an accident. It's not a detail. The thing that worries me is that although tonight we hear from the fellow panelists here,
and he so after kind of providing that predicate, he addresses the question of whether Islam can become a religion of peace.
when I said earlier there are three types of Islam I identified, I said the first one, the scriptures, the life of Muhammad and so on, bad. Second one, Sharia, interpretations, bad. But thirdly, the way Muslims live their lives today, in this country and countries like it, that is our source for hope. And the source of hope for that is that they individually use, like many people do religion. I'm not a religious person, Ayan isn't either. But we recognize the fact that people of religious faith have the right to that faith, should practice that faith, should have no fear of practicing that faith. There's no problem with this. But it's a private matter, and one which people come to very strange private arrangements about. And I just wanted to add this, which is that if those people are going to be able to reform that faith into the religion of peace you're talking about, then yes, we would be the first people to encourage them. But if we're going to have that debate, as I hope we've shown tonight, it has to start with honesty.
Let's do one more round of questions.
It has to start with frankness.
And Ayan Hirsi Ali, and you should read her book, Infidel, among some of her other works, she points to something very interesting. She essentially says the pathway to reforming Islam is through the sexual liberation of women. Because
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Well, but one of the arguments she makes, I think, persuasively, is one of the reasons that women are not provided the educational opportunities in Islamic theocracies that men are, is the great fear of not being a virgin on your wedding day, is the fact that you may engage in sexual conduct during your schooling years as you get older. And so this is why young women are pulled out of school by their guardians, meaning men.
Right.
And
they have to remain covered up because they don't want to show any skin.
Well, so the sexual liberation of women paves the way for education, which paves the way for women asserting their rights as human beings. This is Ali's argument, and it's an important one.
It would take, girls would go to school, they would be independent, they would be able to articulate what their rights are, and more importantly, they could make Islam a religion of peace because they would bring their boys up to be employable, to be educated, and to renounce suicide, killings, and martyrdom. Uneducated mothers are mothers whose children, whose boys, bad guys can take advantage of.
That's a really good point. That's an under-discussed point that she makes. And this is where you need equality, not in the kind of left's gender identity obsessed stuff.
Letting women drive in Saudi Arabia would be a nice start.
Well, yeah, but it's really about what Ali said. When women are liberated and educated, they raise their children to want for the good things in life, independence, productivity, to be peaceful men and women, particularly men. And we're on a continuum. And so the liberation of women at the, grade school or pre-adolescent level is the way to break the cycle, is essentially what she's arguing. For those, again, small percentage that are put on a path towards terror, as she said, that the bad guys take advantage of. Mike in Burr Ridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hello, good morning. I actually read the Quran, and there's a bit of contradiction between the two, but I will add that Muhammad's wife was actually substantially older at first, and that he actually dated a 5 or 6 year old girl in the beginning. So
yeah, he took multiple wives. That's right.
There's there's a lot of misinterpretation in there. I mean, it can be interpreted a different way, but the new reformation of it is for violence. Also, I had another question. Will you guys be covering Bilderberg at all? Because that was a very huge meeting that went over the weekend.
Yeah, thanks. Not at present, but we'll try and get to it. Kenneth in Miami.
You really took on me. Some people, you're blinded. It's good and evil. It's a spiritual warfare. If you read your book of Daniel, Isaiah, all this is Bible prophecy coming to a head. And the thing is, when you behead women, I got a DVD, and the thing is, they got two women hanging upside down, and they started from their vagina on down to their breast to take out their hearts. Does that sound like a religion, a peace? God is not a religion. It's a faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. You don't put good and evil together. The devil and saints don't mix.
Thanks for the call, Kenneth. You know what's interesting about this Intelligence Squared debate? What they do is, and this is New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It's a liberal crowd in New York City. What they do is they ask people what their vote is on the proposition, Islam is a religion of peace. That's the statement they were debating. So before the debate, 41% of the audience was for that idea, Islam is a religion of peace, 25% against, 34% undecided. After the debate.
What was it?
It's kind of surprising. Remember the New York liberal audience.
Right.
After the debate, 36% of the audience for the idea Islam is a religion of peace. 55% against, went from 25 to 55, a majority, against the idea Islam is a religion of peace, 9% undecided. So after hearing from Murray and Ali, even with Nawaz and Khan providing the proponent's perspective, they moved a substantial portion of a liberal audience just based on the manifest weight of the evidence and, frankly, common sense in terms of what people see around them on a daily basis at present.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You're the one that gets it done. The person your friends call to see if you can fix it. Brakes? No biggie. Shocks and struts? Simple and straightforward. The catalytic converter heat shield? Come on. If it has wheels, you can make it go. But not having the right part can bring your project to a screeching halt. Problem solved with MyPartsGarage.com. My Parts Garage is not a big box store that needs to wait to get a part in. MyPartsGarage.com is the warehouse that sells wholesale to you. They own the inventory. Your part is always in stock. But wait, there's more. Like free shipping within 24 hours, in-state, next-day delivery, or pick it up today at the warehouse. Right now, MyPartsGarage.com will price match your order. And yes, the shipping is still free. The last thing you need to do is drive fast and furiously to find parts. The average driver in Chicago commutes at least 24 miles per day. People are spending more hours in their car than they do at home. Drivers need you. You need MyPartsGarage.com. Lowest prices guaranteed and free shipping.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My air conditioner broke down.
Sorry, but your home insurance doesn't cover air conditioner breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my air conditioner?
I'm afraid not.
But his air conditioner could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus components of 20 other major home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-400-5602. Home insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-400-5602. That's 1-800-400-5602. 1-800-400-5602.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for.
The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Want to feel like a total boss? Then switch to the best deal in America, Total Wireless. With Total Wireless, you get America's largest, most dependable network plus 5 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited talk and text for only $35 a month. Whoa, how did you get all that? Oh, that's right. You're totally a total boss, and you never sign a contract. Total Wireless, total confidence. Available at Walmart. Always refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at TotalWireless.com.
When you need spends a little too much time in the sun relief.
Yikes.
Ow, what the? Attack of the angry mosquito relief.
Hey, watch this.
Scraped knees.
And an elbow.
Relief. You need new Gold Bond Pain and Itch Relief Cream with lidocaine. Gold Bond has the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription and starts working on contact to numb away pain and itch. New Gold Bond with lidocaine. Relief starts now. Use as directed.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, our thanks to Debbie Litwin, our HR director. She just brought in some McDonald's for us.
Yes, thank you, Debbie.
Appreciate it.
Yums.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to the man who, along with his institute, is primarily responsible for debunking a lot of the climate change hysteria. He is Joe Bass, President and CEO of the Heartland Institute, and he joins us at 7:37.
And later, a mailman with a deadly delivery will explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 69 degrees, mostly sunny skies. A cooler day ahead in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. London investigators say they do know the identities of the men who killed 7 and injured nearly 50 over the weekend. Police say they will release the names when they are confident it will not harm the investigation into whether the attackers were part of a wider network. President Trump today expected to unveil a plan to privatize America's air traffic control system, part of his effort to build support for a $1 trillion infrastructure project. In one Republican proposal in the House under consideration, the FAA would retain oversight of air traffic control while removing 30,000 employees from the federal payroll. Opening statements are scheduled today in Bill Cosby's sexual assault trial in Pennsylvania. A New York City police officer dragged by a car for blocks remains in critical condition this morning. 2 women are under arrest in that case for hindering prosecution, and the 15-year-old driver of that car who was shot and hospitalized is likely to face charges. The search continues this morning for a woman who went missing after going into Lake Michigan on Chicago's north side. 2 are dead following an apparent apartment murder-suicide. Police say a man shot and killed Shante Neveth yesterday during a domestic argument on West Lyndale. The gunman was later found dead on the west side with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Illinois homeowners are footing some of the highest mortgage debt in the country. A new study from financial site 24/7 Wall Street has found Illinois in the top half of its states with the most mortgage debt. The average Illinois mortgage debt is more than $176,000. Study found California has the highest average mortgage debt. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals.
Germany.
Justin Upton's 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth gave the Tigers a 7-4 win over the White Sox. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, way too much for the Cavaliers as Golden State rolls to a Game 2 win in the NBA Finals over Cleveland. The news, a service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa stores, Valvoline full synthetic motor oil is on sale for just $5.59 a quart. Take advantage now and protect your engine from the heat all summer long. General States pricing. Sale prices do not include applicable state or local taxes or recycling fees. 7:33 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
What memories will your family make in Florida? Discover your next vacation at visitflorida.com.
if you have pain, listen up, Dennis Prager here. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You don't have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. So Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of its side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain, and you can be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info you need at mypainchicago.com.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs, with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices, and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
7:36. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Dominic Fortini.
Southbound Stony Island, we've got a rollover crash at 95th. Up in Lake Forest, an accident southbound 41 at Old Elm, and traffic lights still dark at Cermak and Kedzie. Also have Route 31 closed out in Elgin between National and Kimball. Should be shut down through mid-morning as crews are working to clear a earlier stalled Union Pacific train from those tracks. Police are on the scene, detouring traffic in the area. On the inbound side of the Edens, 21 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Inbound Kennedy at 54 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 23 in from the junction. A better choice in the inbound express, which are at 19 minutes. Outbound delays cost you time. Washington through Sayre on the west end. An hour 3 downtown out to O'Hare. Inbound Ike, an hour 4. Thorndale in. 47 in from Manheim. Brake lights on the outbound side. Kedzie to Manheim. Then beginning near 88 once again. An hour 11 from the post office into Thorndale. Heavy delays on the inbound Stevenson between the Ryan and Lakeshore. An hour 11 from 355 in. While the inbound Ryan, 41 minutes, 95th into downtown. Traffic's a service of Napa Auto Parts this month at participating Napa stores. Valvoline full synthetic motor oils on sale for just $5.59 a quart. Take advantage now and protect your engine from the heat all summer long. General States pricing, sales prices do not include applicable state or local taxes or recycling fees. Traffic answers when you need them the most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Mostly sunny, breezy, and cooler today. High 72, clear and 53 overnight. Currently 66 at O'Hare. It is 70 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now, and make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Morning, Dan and Amy. And so on this Paris Accord, interesting perspective. Not necessarily mine, but an interesting perspective from Bjorn Lomborg, who is a academic in Denmark. He runs a outlet or enterprise called the Copenhagen Consensus Center. He did a podcast with Nick Gillespie over at reason.com. It's worth checking out. It's only about 20 minutes. Very good. And he is someone who was concerned about climate change, believes it poses a real threat, believes man is primarily responsible for it. So with that backdrop, listen to his take on the Paris Accord that Trump pulled out of last week.
Paris Climate Accord. Tell us why it's a good thing that the United States has decided to rethink its participation.
So fundamentally, the two things you need to know about the Paris Agreement is, one, it is not going to do very much to tackle climate. So if you look at the UN's own estimate, if everyone had delivered everything they had promised, including Trump and the US, by 2030, the Paris Agreement would have delivered less than 1% of what it's promising. So very, very tiny impact on climate.
So it leaves 99% of the problem it says it's going to solve in place.
So the second thing is it's incredibly costly. It's probably the most costly treaty ever to be signed in history. So if you look at what is the likely cost across the main areas where we have good estimates, it indicate that it's probably around $1 trillion in cost if you do it in the most effective way. That means with carbon taxes in all the relevant regions. And if you don't, which is typically the way you do climate policy, it could easily be $2 trillion. So $1 to $2 trillion a year for the rest of the century, mostly in lost GDP growth. And the net benefit at the end of the century, even if you're very optimistic, will to have been reduced the temperature by about 0.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So spend $100 trillion to achieve virtually no climate benefit. That's a bad deal.
It's
you think?
It's nice to get some honesty from a left-leaning academic. We just got some from Bjorn Lomborg. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Joe Bass. He's the president and CEO of the Heartland Institute, heartland.org. It's a think tank located here in suburban Chicago. It's been around for 3 decades, and they've really been one of the lead organizations in the world in debunking some of the climate hysteria surrounding climate change and the associated policies that have been promoted by the big government left, and frankly, even some that call themselves Republicans, but turned out to be part of the big government crowd as well on this topic. Joe, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thank you for having me on.
So your reaction, not just to Trump pulling out of the Paris Accord, but in terms of how this has turned the debate on this issue?
I think it's having a tremendous impact. And to get an idea of why it would, think about the impact that Barack Obama has had on this debate for the last 8 years. It was incredibly hard for realists in this debate, realists like Bjorn Lomborg, who you were quoting, to get any hearing at all. When the President of the United States himself is demonizing groups like the Heartland Institute and dismissing any research that questions basically the Sierra Club and the Earth First kind of crowd on global warming, the American public just end up with one side of the debate and no reason to question it. So along comes President Trump, and he has legitimized arguments that we have been making now for going on 20 years. Withdrawing from the Paris Accord was an outstanding step. I think he hit the ball out of the park. I mean, it really sets a new marker for what this debate is going to look like going forward.
So people are getting upset over an agreement that would basically do nothing to solve climate change. But the Obama administration ended up shipping $1 billion in taxpayer dollars to this fund without authorization from Congress. Do you have any idea who received that money, or did it go to a corrupt government?
Well, you can pretty much bank on that. But no, I don't know how that money has actually been distributed. But you're absolutely right. The United States gave $1 billion. Very few other countries are making contributions to that fund. They expect it to reach $100 billion a year by 2020. That's only 3 years from now. It's just ludicrous on its face that the United States would be giving probably tens of billions of dollars every year to a fund administered by the United Nations, the most corrupt organization in the world, to give to dictators of third world countries. Are just crazy.
Now, I've been citing some of your work over the last several days as we've been talking about this issue again. now that the debate's not over anymore like it was prior. But I want you to elucidate some of the work that you guys have done, some of the talking points that are used by the left repeatedly, particularly about the scientific consensus. And 97% of scientists agree that climate change is real and man is primarily responsible.
Well, thanks for the question. Yeah, we've been working on this for a long time. Actually, since 1993 was the first book that the Heartland Institute published that covered climate change. And we've assembled scientists from all around the world to try to give voice to the other side of the debate. And what we've learned is that most scientists, not some small fringe, not 10%, but most scientists do not believe that there is a large human impact on climate. They especially don't believe that we can forecast this going forward. So when they look at the human impact, they say, well, compared to natural variability, yes, there is a human impact, and sure, climate changes all the time, but the human impact is so small that it's probably below our level of detection, and it's certainly below natural variability. Things involving ocean currents, for example, and solar cycles have been shown to have a much bigger impact than human-made carbon dioxide. And then finally, trying to forecast this into the future, the only way that we can do that is with computer models. And very few scientists have confidence that these computer models are doing anything close to producing scientific predictions. Essentially, it's garbage in, garbage out. We don't know what future climate conditions will be. It's futile to try to forecast them.
Well, people are wondering, too, how can you reduce your own carbon footprint? Without
you can
eliminating yourself from the earth.
You can stop breathing. That's
one way to do it. Yeah.
That's one way to do it, because we all exhale carbon dioxide. You know, your carbon footprint is supposed to be the amount of carbon dioxide that your activities produce and emit. And driving cars, especially big cars, long distances, produce a lot of carbon dioxide. Flying airplanes, owning mansions, produces a lot of carbon dioxide. So, but at the end of the day, what you're saying is abandon modernity, abandon the new technologies that have made it possible for your kid to go to college and to come back and visit you more often. Abandon the job that takes more than 20 minutes or 30 minutes to drive to, because you should be working close to where you live. It says live in an apartment building. Don't live in a single-family home, because your carbon footprint is too big if you live in your own house with your own backyard and your own driveway. And take a bus or a train, even though it's less convenient than owning a car or a truck. All of these things are essentially a war against all the modern progress that's been made in the last 30, 40 years. And that's not a coincidence, because that's what the left's agenda has been for the last 30 or 40 years. It's what they were calling for before global warming ever became an issue, and it's what they're going to be calling for after global warming is no longer talked about.
But
as President Trump said, it's not about global warming. This treaty was never about the science. It was about redistributing income, increasing government control over industry, and handicapping U.S. manufacturers. That's what it's been about.
Right, but it's abandoned modernity for thee, not for me, when it comes to the left, of course. And I just want a little historical perspective, because it seems to me what you're saying is what I wrote this week in my little 60-second vignette, which is you're not a threat to the planet's existence, only the left's dominion over the planet. And we've seen this with Rachel Carson, going back 50-plus years with Rachel Carson and DDT and pesticides, and then it was global cooling in the 70s, and then it was global warming, and then it's climate change. I forgot the population bomb that was a dud. So it's one apocalyptic doom and gloom scenario that the left promulgates until that one's debunked, and then they go on to the next one, because at base it's always the effort to exert control over others.
That's exactly right, and they're never held to account for their mistaken forecasts. So we just move from one crisis to another. It's often even the same guys. The same guys who are claiming that there's a global warming crisis were the guys who were saying there was a pesticide crisis 20 years ago. So, and the reason they get away with it is the liberal media fails to do its job of holding these guys accountable for their false predictions and start putting them on the do not quote list because these guys have been discredited. So the media fails to do its job. The universities end up getting just saturated with these left-wing advocates, even now science departments. I mean, there are surveys of physics departments and other science departments that show that vast majority of these guys self-identify as liberal or far left. What are these guys doing as physicists when they're hardcore left-wingers? When they speak out on a public policy issue, chances are they're advocating an agenda and not talking about the science.
He is Joe Bass, President and CEO of the Heartland Institute, heartland.org. Joe, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, yeah, Al Gore, too. He said that he has a carbon-free lifestyle.
As much as possible, and we would encourage him to be completely carbon-free, which is non-existent.
Yeah, but he has 4 homes. But he doesn't have a private plane. Okay, whatever. Today, mostly sunny, breezy, a lot cooler than our weekend. But it's a nice change, a high of 72 degrees. And we'll repeat that on Tuesday and on Wednesday, both days. Highs in the low to mid 70s. Let's get into our alarm detection systems traffic center and say good morning once again to Dominic Fortini, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Good morning. A little bit of everything this morning. We've got CTA Red Line train standing at Argyle, headed in the 95th bound direction because of mechanical issues right now. A disabled freight train blocks Route 31 in Elgin between National and Lawrence. Should be in place at least until mid-morning. We've got a new crash at Warrenville and Yackley and Lisle. And traffic lights, looks like they were fixed up from flashing red up on the south side a little bit earlier. Inbound side of the Kennedy at 54 minutes, so here to downtown. 27 in from the junction, 22 still a better choice. The inbound express lanes with delays outbound from the Hubbard Tunnel out to Sayre on the west end. Inbound Ike an hour 10, Thorndale in, while the inbound side of the Stevenson plenty slammed, Harlem to Kedzie. Then brake lights from the Ryan to Lakeshore an hour 11 in from 355. On the outbound side, we've got a crash at Damon to work with as well. 50 minutes from the drive to 355. Inbound Ryan, 41 minutes from 95th in downtown. Watch for some brake lights to click on right about 51st Street in both the locals and the express, while the inbound side of the Bishop Ford remains sluggish at Cottage Grove into the Dan Ryan. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, the Bolingbrook Golf Club. It is the location of our annual golf outing this year, sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. But there's more than golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Celebrate Independence Day at the Bolingbrook Golf Club this year, complete with food, fun, and a spectacular fireworks show. Find out all the details about their 4th of July celebration at BolingbrookGolfClub.com. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're purchasing a home, give me a call. A borrower called me after contacting the lender who boasts about having the lowest rates and closing costs because he thought my competitors' closing costs were excessively high. I compared loan estimates and the interest rates were identical, but our definitions of low closing costs were a lot different. Fact is, my closing costs were over $1,000 less than the lender claiming to have the lowest closing costs. When purchasing a home, you can either work with the lender who talks and talks and talks and talks about low closing costs, or you can work with me, a lender who actually has low closing costs. Then think of all the things you could do with an extra $1,000 when we originate your loan, like pay for the movers, buy a new computer, new TV, maybe new carpet for your new house. I've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, and MLS 19186.
Searching for that black box is one of the most important aspects of aircraft accident investigation. But then, of course, you gotta have an airplane crash to investigate. I get it. Wait for the crash, investigate after. Sounds a bit late for all those on board. Sad to say, the same kind of black box approach is currently being used in our healthcare system today, which means nothing more than you feeling under the weather. Then we'll study the black box, x-rays, blood work, endless streams of diagnostic testing, uncover a terrible disease that may require a treatment plan that may prove even more deadly than the disease itself. This is Dr. David Kolbaba. I'm not into crash investigation. Here at HealthQuest, our passion is prevention. Spend more time, energy, and money on true preventative health care today, or you'll undoubtedly be spending more precious time, energy, and money later on some terrible sickness or disease. True prevention saves lives, one life at a time. How about you and your life? An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of risky and dangerous medical care. Give us a call, 1-800-794-1855. That's 1-800-794-1855.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
How can you get a better grasp on what your portfolio looks like for retirement? Tabota & Associates just might have the technology to help you answer that question. Jack Tabota and the team at Tabota & Associates builds retirement plans custom fit for you using a variety of insurance and investment products. At Tabota & Associates, no two retirement plans are the same, and they can use a tool called Riskalyze to show what your risk tolerance number is. Once you have it, you'll have a better understanding of how much risk you can take on and if your current portfolio is exposing you to potential losses that you cannot afford. Why not let the team at Tabota & Associates do the heavy lifting for you? 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955. Take some of the guesswork out of planning and riskalyze your retirement portfolio today. Tabota & Associates, 630-777-7955. Investments involve risk, including the potential loss of principal invested. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
As the head of procurement for my company, I was sweating a big deadline and got tired of calling my printer for updates, only to hear excuses. So I heard about McGrath Printing Custom Apparel and gave them a call. I got A+ service and they beat the deadline. McGrath Printing really saved my...
I'm a supply chain manager for a Fortune 500 company, and we had $50,000 of product waiting for instruction manuals because our printer couldn't deliver on time. One call to McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, and they saved my...
At McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, they've been saving companies for over 35 years. Give them a call at 815-356-5246. That's 815-356-5246. And mention code AM560 and get 20% off your first order. So remember,
go to where the pros go. McGrathPrint.com. McGrathPrint.com.
Raj Shah, host of Secure Retirement Radio.
This is the time more than ever to look at your accounts and say, you know what? I've made a good amount of money back. Why give that money back, especially if you're entering into retirement and you need to generate an income? You need to have all of that money. So why give back what you've earned back from 2008?
Tune in for Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah, Chicago's safe money strategist. Sunday mornings at 7 here on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, and
now that you own a dog, your whole life has changed.
Well,
it's
for
the better.
I would feel the same even if I didn't have a dog. This is a woman, an Alabama postal carrier, who's making me rethink my position on opposition to the death penalty.
Oh, you're for capital punishment. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a good day in America. But basically, because a lot of postal carriers, they carry dog treats with them because, when they deliver mail, sometimes the dogs, get angry, so they give them treats. But she did something different.
Susanna Burhans is charged with aggravated cruelty to animals, Class C felony, could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted of feeding a dog meatballs that contained nails.
Oh, she was trying to cut up their insides.
Not helping the image of postal workers who already have to deal with going postal as part of our vernacular in America. She was arrested after a joint investigation that included the Postal Service.
Yeah, there was a 2-week investigation that they realized that she had put nails in meatballs. There's a special place, where for her. Let's go into the newsroom now. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a Chicago police officer and another man wounded in a shooting. 2 women and a child killed in a Joliet house fire. Cubs sweep out the Cardinals. A sunny day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
The courts are slow and political. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. President Trump put an exclamation point on that in the last of 4 tweets this morning on his travel ban, which has been blocked by numerous courts for targeting Muslims. He's calling for an expedited hearing at the Supreme Court. As Counselor Kellyanne Conway tells Fox the president has the authority.
The reason is the lack of screening and vetting procedures from countries that harbor and train and export terrorists.
The president wrote the revised version was watered down and politically correct, and he prefers the original. Last night, he blamed the London terror attack on
a vile enemy that has waged war on innocent life, and it's gone on too long.
British authorities have rounded up 11 suspects potentially tied to the attack. Fox's Simon Owen live in London.
Dave, London's police chief, Cressida Dick, saying the identity of the 3 attackers is now known. She calls the investigation enormous and praises Londoners' response to the events of Saturday night.
London is back at work. People are getting on with their lives.
She also commended the police reaction. It's emerged an off-duty officer is in the hospital after tackling the knife-wielding terrorists with his bare hands. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Theresa May saying Britain must do, quote, much more to combat Islamic extremism. Dave?
Simon Bill Cosby's sex assault trial starts this morning. Fox's Gernal Scott live outside the court in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Dave, a few people gathered outside the courthouse to see Bill Cosby's arrival just minutes ago. But they won't see or hear anything from inside as Cosby answers for crimes several women say he committed against them, but only one woman has an opportunity to convince a jury that he did. Cosby maintains his relationship with accuser Andrea Constand was consensual. She says he drugged and had sex with her. If convicted, Cosby, a month shy of his 80th birthday, could serve 10 years in prison, Dave.
This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
69 degrees, sunny skies at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Search resumes this morning for a woman who went missing after going into Lake Michigan on Chicago's north side. The woman was seen entering the lake last night at Montrose Avenue Beach. City's Marine unit was called in to search. Autopsies are expected on the bodies of 2 women and an infant girl found in a Joliet house fire. Firefighters found the bodies on the 2nd floor of the 2-story home on Saturday. Joliet Fire Chief Greg Blakesky says they found the house engulfed in flames. A man who jumped from a 2nd floor unit was not hurt, telling firefighters when they arrived 3 were still trapped inside. Unionized Chicago charter school teachers will begin voting later today on whether to join the Chicago Teachers Union. The Tribune reports the Chicago Alliance of Charter Teachers and Staff believes a merger would help its members survive and thrive in a challenging political environment. Authorities say one person was hurt after a helicopter crash during takeoff at the Kenosha Regional Airport. Kenosha police say the crash was reported around 4:30 p.m. on Sunday. That person was rushed to a Milwaukee hospital. Chicago sports. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals. A 3-game sweep of the Redbirds. Justin Upton's 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth gave the Tigers a 7-4 win over the White Sox. The News is a service of Half Price Books. And in Chicago at 8:03, it is time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Apple's annual conference for app developers begins today in San Jose, California. The company often uses the event to unveil new products, and speculation is that this year it will reveal a new Siri digital assistant device speaker for your home to compete with Amazon's Echo speaker and Google's Home device. Wonder Woman's success at the box office over the weekend is expected to boost Time Warner stock. Barron's magazine says the blockbuster movie could help Time Warner shares to rise 20% over the coming year. Economists are predicting growth will continue this spring and summer, but not at the pace of earlier this year. The National Association of Business Economists survey says most economists believe the Trump administration will push through its corporate tax cuts and infrastructure plan, but there won't be an impact on the economy until 2018. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
It is 8:04. Time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
They are here, circling over your head, and they're tracking you down. You feel overwhelmed, like you can't escape. You need a solution to get your back taxes filed, to put your life back on track. You need someone who can keep the vultures at bay and work directly with the IRS to leverage every opportunity to settle your tax debt. Mary Karpowitz, CEO of Comprehensive Tax Solutions, is licensed to represent you before the IRS. Don't let the IRS threaten you. You should never need to speak to them directly. Mary does that for you. Comprehensive Tax Solutions will help you settle your entire IRS tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. Comprehensive Tax Solutions, family owned in Chicagoland, can be a lifesaver for you. Call 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call 708-478-6770 now.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are, and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Greta is a drill instructor.
Move, move, move!
Yes, ma'am. When it comes to training lean, mean, fighting machines, she doesn't mess around.
Drop and give me 3,000!
But when it comes to getting a mortgage, Greta's less confident.
I got nothing.
Fortunately for Greta, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so she can understand the details and know she's getting the right mortgage. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
8:07. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. And in for Jim, here's Dominic.
In North Barrington this morning, a crash at Route 22 and Old Barrington Road. Also have a crash in Hanover Park at Barrington and Irving Park. CTA Red Line trains headed toward 95th, still standing at Argyle because of mechanical issues. And in Elgin, we've got a disabled freight train, which is closing down Route 31 between National and Kimball. That train has a blown engine. Police are on the scene detouring traffic. Inbound Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Hook to the junction. Outbound, bigger problems between Montrose and Willow. It's 49 minutes from Montrose out to Lake Cook. Inbound Kennedy, 54 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, a half hour in from the junction. 24 on the inbound express. Delays on the outbound side add up to an hour 7 downtown out to O'Hare. Inbound Ike, an hour 12. Thorndale in, heaviest between Des Plaines and the Burns Circle. Outbound delays from Pulaski to Manheim, an hour 13 from the post office to Thorndale. Plenty heavy on the inbound Stevenson, an hour 11 from 355 into the drive. On the outbound side, 2 left lanes are blocked just before you reach Ashland with a crash. That'll cause delays back through the Ryan and 50 minutes from Lakeshore to 355. Inbound Ryan, 39 minutes from 95th in. And some solid delays on the inbound side of I-57. Cost of time beginning near 115th. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center and our meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today mostly sunny, breezy, and cooler. High 72, clear night, low 53. Mostly sunny and breezy tomorrow. High 74, and a moonlit sky at night, low 53. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
69 degrees officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and we were talking off air, but just some local perspective on the latest London terrorist attack. The 2 London terrorist attacks. In Chicago, we've equaled their body count in the last 2 weekends.
Yeah, so 5 were killed on that bridge in Westminster, 7 killed over the weekend in London, and we've had 12 people killed in the past 2 weekends. And about the same amount of people injured.
Right. And the difference with the injuries here is most of the injuries are gunshot wounds, catastrophic injuries. I'm not saying that there are not some catastrophic injuries in London from Saturday night, because there are. But just to give a little local perspective on how violent Chicago is, and the idea of let's go save the world, and meanwhile we have carnage going on in our streets here. So just a little perspective. So one of the issues, of course, in the wake of these terrorist attacks, Islamic terrorist attacks, is where are the voices of moderate Muslims to be heard? One of those, so here we actually talk to peaceful pluralist Muslims as opposed to manufacturing them like CNN does.
Well, CNN, they did a story and they had Muslim mothers, and there was about 4 of them with a few of their kids and husbands, that the CNN reporter asked police to take down the barricade so that they could stand behind her. So it was, I mean, as a former reporter, I know people that have done that and photographers that have done that because they want to make it look more interesting, but you can't stage a protest. I mean, you can't. They weren't nearby, but she got them all together to stand behind her, and it doesn't sit well with me.
Gateway Pundit has the video on that if you want to check it out. It is going beyond reporting the facts on the ground, I would say. But one of the actual leaders in terms of peaceful pluralist Muslims in America is Dr. Zudi Jasser, founded the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, also served our country honorably in the U.S. Navy. And he made an interesting plea yesterday in advance of the Manchester concert that Ariana Grande and a bunch of stars put on. I mean, think of the timing of that, the terrorist attack on Saturday night, and then the concert in Manchester on Sunday night. Here's what Zudi Jasser had to say, in part, to Ariana Grande.
This is an appeal to Ariana Grande and all the singers coming together in Manchester Sunday night to honor the lives who died senselessly in the terror attack by the jihadist at Ariana Grande's concert, her Dangerous Woman tour. I'm here as a Muslim, as an American, as a father and a husband, and a tireless reformer against radical Islam. But I'm hearing a plea to tell Ariana Grande, to tell all of you, that this is a battle for our civilization as we know it. We are fighting an ideology that reaches within the hearts of Muslims and tells them that their identity is better with the Islamic State, with theocracy, with Sharia, and that the West hates them, and that the West is a conspiracy theory against being Muslim.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Dr. Zudi Jasser. Dr. Jasser, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Dan. Thank you for having me.
I should mention also you're the author of the book A Battle for the Soul of Islam, which is very consistent with the plea that you had to Ariana Grande. Theresa May sort of took up your plea. Ariana Grande, not so much. But why the plea to Ariana Grande and pop stars to provide that perspective to the audience?
Well, I think it's about time now, almost 16 years after 9/11, and now 6 years into the Arab awakening, that we begin a cultural revolution. That's really all you can do. I mean, what we keep talking about violent extremism, which is that last step when they put on a suicide belt, but these radicals don't self-combust out of nowhere. There's a process that radicalizes them, and we need to use large platforms of humanity. And what larger platform do you want than the millions and millions of followers that not only Ariana has, but Katy Perry, Usher, all the people that were at this concert? And really, we keep having a list of cities now that is extending from, Nice and Paris and San Bernardino. Now we've added Manchester and London again. Are we just going to add hashtags and do sort of the hashtag prayers every time? Or are we actually going to begin to be offensive in this war, to advocate? She said it's a dangerous woman tour. Dangerous women in Saudi Arabia and Iran and the countries that manufacture these ideas that we're fighting are in jail. There's a reason her concert was attacked. She claimed that she wants to fight that reason, but didn't really get into the ideas and thinks you can just win it by love. Love is a good thing, and you certainly need that. But we Muslims need tough love. And unless Western civilization is ready to defend its own ideas and say that not only is terrorism bad, but we're going to stand by freedom and liberty of women and teens and others to identify their own independence. And that's what being Muslim is all about, and take sides within the House of Islam and use that cultural platform, no different than the Muslims in Egypt and in Syria are trying to do in their revolutions. We're going to continue this whack-a-mole program, and we're never going to win. Homeland Security, military can't win this. This is a cultural war that people like our celebrities and our rock icons need to be a part of.
Really? Well, do you think that Muslims can do a better job of policing their own? Like if a moderate Muslim sees a jihadist or the creation of one, or sees somebody getting more agitated while at the mosque, don't you think that that person should be reported?
Absolutely. But I will tell you is, what do we mean by policing our own? There is so much denial heaped in this issue that if you ask Muslims, they'll say, and if you say, well, if you see somebody violent or saying something, sure, most of them are reported. But the problem is that there's so much enabling going on. There's huge denial. They think radicalization is just when they're ready to grab a rifle or bomb belt, and that means those are the radicals. Well, when the imam is preaching that Western society is corrupting their kids, when the imam is teaching that the American military is the terrorists, just like the radical terrorists of ISIS are, which is a sermon that comes out. And by the way, it looks like the imam that radicalized these London ISIS advocates was from Dearborn. He's giving speeches, was in and out of prison in Dearborn. So this online radicalization might be online, but it's happening in our backyard. And our Muslim community is in denial. It's almost like the alcoholic family that refuses to admit that some of the enabling going on in your family is actually contributing not only to the alcoholism of your father, but to his drunk driving. So it's not just the drunk driving. It's the enabling of the substance of the ideology that foments of this separatist feeling that we don't belong and we don't love freedom and secular society.
Well, right. And so taking it to America over the weekend, what do we hear from Muslims who have profile? And, of course, that's the left. Risa Aslan, who has a show on CNN, tweeted about Trump, suggesting that the travel ban is necessary and in part response to the terrorist attack in London. Reza Aslan tweeted, "This piece of Shiite is not just an embarrassment to America, but a stain on the presidency. He's an embarrassment to humankind." And then Linda Sarsour, who's this Hamas-linked Muslim advocate organizer, as she would, I guess, characterize herself, organizes a prayer vigil of sorts in front of Trump Tower, New York, and talks about how this administration is propagating hate against Muslims. So essentially the point is that in America, you have those Muslims given profile, the ones that are preaching the real problem is Islamophobia and not radical Islamic terrorism.
Exactly. And their links to terrorist groups is not a surprise because, Reza Aslan might condemn terrorism, but he also belongs to the board of the North American Iranian American Council, which was a supporter of the Iranian regime and the Iran deal, etc. So it's not a surprise that he wants to always blame America, attack the president. And CNN's response was, quote, "Reza doesn't work with us, doesn't work for us. He just has a series on our show." And then he said, "Oh, by the way, he apologized." Well, it sounds like the mosque elders who say that, well, that imam that gave that horrific anti-American speech, he doesn't work for us. He just came to do some fundraisers for our community, and he isn't really on our payroll. Well, this is the problem, is they don't recognize that there's a difference between disagreeing with policy versus actually riling up the community into believing that it's not just a policy difference with the other side, but they are your enemies. And that's what's wrong with the verbiage of people like Reza, Linda Sarsour, who said, oh, by the way, America should learn from the Saudis because they give women 3 months maternity leave rather than actually identifying the Saudi regime as a theocratic hell for women. And this is the problem, is these are the people lifted up by media. And Sarsour is leading women's marches with icons on the left of Hollywood, when in fact the liberal women like Ezra Nomani and Raheel Raza, who are in our Muslim reform movement, are marginalized as, quote unquote, not part of the community, because the community is the Islamist establishment of conservative fundamentalists that get lifted up as, quote unquote, the Muslim, rather than us reformers who are really trying to preserve and defend Western values.
Now, Prime Minister Theresa May, who's up for re-election on Thursday, she had suggested, she laid out a 4-point plan, but she had suggested that the government would regulate online content. Do you think that would help? I mean, you said that these three were allegedly watching videos from an imam in Dearborn, Michigan.
Well, here, I have to tell you that's, again, the wrong approach. As much as we want to blame online content, it's like blaming Colombia for the drug use in the inner city of Chicago and elsewhere. The bottom line is most studies, and we work closely with a group called Quilliam Foundation out of London.
Yeah.
And Quilliam put out a paper 6 months ago that said, you know what, this focus and blaming of Google and Twitter, it's a good point. They need to be with us and not helping the Islamists, which is what they're doing. But they aren't the cause. Most of the radicalization is in the cauldrons of the mosques and the local community. The family. Look at how many now are associated with this guy out of Manchester. And the other cell now that this week we saw that a second attack might have been related. We saw the Paris attack in November 2015. That same cell went to Molenbeek in Brussels and committed an act 3-4 months later and was shielded by his own community. So most of these guys have circles of protection around them. Some may condemn violence, but yet 2/3 of Brits, British Muslims, reportedly would not turn in somebody if they thought he might want to commit an act of terror. That is the problem. Online is simply, yes, you look at it to get footprints of what they're looking at ideologically to track them. They should be definitely looking online for those 3,500, especially that they've identified as known wolves. But that's not where you solve it. You solve it culturally in the community, which is reinforcing many of the separatist ideas.
The Quilliam Foundation, that's Maajid Nawaz, right?
Yep. Maajid Nawaz, a former radical who has clearly identified in their organization that Islamism is the problem. And we worked with Imam Usama Hassan came and came to Washington to help me found the Muslim Reform Movement and write our declaration. So they're really, for the most part, on the same side.
But even he,
a lot of great work.
But even he, and I liked a lot of what he had to say, but I watched this hour and a half Intelligence Squared debate from about 18 months ago where he and Reza Khan were on one side of a debate about Islam, and Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Douglas Murray were on the other side. And even though he's been mugged by reality and saved by Amnesty International and believes in peaceful pluralism, is an advocate for that, even Nawaz, I thought, was making a number of rationalizations and false comparisons between the extremist element in Islam and and other religions. There was some rationalization from him too.
You're right, and he will. They signed our declaration that says that we have to condemn the Islamic State, the Caliphate, work towards equality of men and women. But I think what happens is many of these individuals become also mugged by partisan politics, and Majid is to the left of center significantly in London. For example, he would not critically join us in criticism of his mayor there, Sadiq Khan, who long defended as an attorney Islamist. Majid bizarrely endorsed Keith Ellison. So we have our differences.
Yeah.
And I think some of what he does is more populist to the Muslim community based on constituencies rather than based on just staying true to anti-Islamism. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather have more allies like Majid than all the Islamists that are suffocating our community.
That's fair. That's fair. He is Dr. Zudi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. Again, served our Navy. He's U.S. Naval officer, lieutenant commander. He's also the author of the book, A Battle for the Soul of Islam. And you practice internal medicine, right?
Yep, primary care. Navy put me through medical school, and to this day, still, I put bread on the table, taking care of patients, and all the extra time is volunteer put in for the American Islamic Forum.
All right, so if you need a good internist, you'd look up Dr. Zudi Jasser, too. Dr. Jasser, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dan. We appreciate it.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
There's no feeling like grabbing a seat in a comfy chair to look through memories in a photo album. It's so much more enjoyable than looking at a computer or the small screen of a smartphone. An album of photos will last a lifetime. They can't be erased or become victim of a crashed hard drive. Print your photo memories at oneclickpics.com, your online photo center. Whether they're for an album, a gift, or framed for display, you want the very best quality. You can get that from the photo experts at oneclickpics.com. OneClickPics.com is a professional photo printer. You'll be amazed at the quality of your pictures, canvas prints, invitations, or announcements. You'll see details in your photos you've never seen before. And right now, when you buy 25 printed photo cards, you get 15 free. Use promo code 15FREE at checkout. Trust your digital picture memories to the photo technicians trained in every aspect of digital photo production. OneClickPics.com. OneClickPix.com.
Hey, how would you like to have insurance for your computer network? Something to protect your hardware, software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind. Well, using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your systems is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of the best certified technicians out there who are there working for you in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone and make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT doesn't wait until there's an emergency call, because they work hard to take preventative measures to keep your network secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the Turnkey experience, which is everything included, including Office 365 hosting, advanced network protection, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and unlimited remote and on-site support. So find out what Turnkey IT can do for your company today. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
If you haven't bought a MyPillow yet, why not? Maybe you've seen them in a store, but the radio deal using my name, Amy, as the promo code is a much better deal. In fact, it's the best deal available. In June, you'll receive the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack. That's 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for 50% off. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. Our friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, and you'll get the 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. In June, get the 50% off the 4-pack by simply calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy. Just do it.
If your roof is needy, if your roof is leaky,
Call Grumweedy.
if your roof isn't right after it's stormy and shingles are curly,
Call Grumweedy.
If your roof is looking needy, call Crumweedy. This is Mark Olson of Crumweedy.
And I'm Greg Olson from Crumweedy. We are a third-generation family-run business. We've been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953.
You really can't do that unless you do really amazing roofs. We share the same conservative values as you, and we really want to do your roof. Here's what you can expect.
First, no high pressure. You make the choice. Whatever option you choose, count on getting a roof that lasts at a fair price.
You see, application is really the key. We follow the manufacturer's specifications so your warranty is intact. You know, a lot of companies don't do that, and that could really void your warranty.
No horror stories here. The roof you need that will fix your problems. When your roof is needy,
Call Grumweedy.
for your needy roof, go to myroofisneedy.com. myroofisneedy.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know what we need here? I don't want to make light of the situation, but we need Bud Light to reprise its Real Men of Genius.
A real man of genius.
Here's to you, Mr. running away with a pint of beer in his hand from a terrorist attack in London.
I know. I told you about it when I came to work. I said there was a shot from Sky News. The guy, they cleared off that pub, and he got up and kept running with his beer, and he didn't spill any of it.
There are certain things you're willing to die for.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Evergreen State University professors blow the conch shell for the students. We'll have their solidarity statement and get reaction from Alfred Thomas, who's an English professor at UIC and a Czech immigrant. His perspective on campus culture at 8:38.
And later, the notorious RBG is back and in print. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott with some breaking news.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Nissan of St. Charles newsroom breaking headlines. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. And as many as 5 are dead after a workplace shooting in Orlando, Florida. Orange County Sheriff's Office telling us the situation is contained. Police have centered on a Gerber collision and glass repair facility in Orlando. Roads surrounding the business and office park have been shut down. London investigators say they've identified the men who've killed 7 and injured 50 over the weekend. Police say they'll release names when they're confident that it will not harm the investigation. Meantime, British counter-terror investigators have searched 2 more homes and detained a number of people in the investigation into the van and knife attack in the heart of London. Moments ago, Facebook said it wants a chunk of its social media to be hostile to terrorists. The company is responding to calls for closer regulation of the internet after this weekend's terror attacks in London. President Trump is reportedly unveiling a plan later today to privatize America's air traffic control system. It's part of a $1 trillion infrastructure proposal. The search resumes this morning in Chicago for a woman who's gone missing in Lake Michigan on Chicago's north side. The woman was seen yesterday entering the lake at Montrose Avenue Beach. 2 are dead following an apparent murder-suicide in Chicago. Police say a man shot and killed Shante Neveth yesterday. The gunman was later found dead on the west side with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Major League Baseball outfielder, portrayed by Anthony Perkins in the 1957 movie Fear Strikes Out, has died. That would be Jimmy Pearsall. Passed away Saturday at a care facility in Wheaton. He was 87. After his long-time Major League Baseball playing career, Pearsall became a color commentator for White Sox broadcasts. Cubs hold on for a 7-6 win over the Cardinals and a 3-game sweep. Justin Upton's 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth gave the Tigers a 7-4 win over the White Sox. The news, a service of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today, just $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee for tires, oil, service, and repairs. National Tire and Battery. That's all you need. 8:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee.
Want to feel like a total boss? Then switch to the best deal in America, Total Wireless. With Total Wireless, you get America's largest, most dependable network plus 5 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited talk and text for only $35 a month. Whoa, how did you get all that? Oh, that's right. You're totally a total boss, and you never sign a contract. Total Wireless, total confidence. Available at Walmart. Always refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at TotalWireless.com.
When you need spent a little too much time in the sun relief.
Yikes.
Ow, what the? Attack of the angry mosquito relief.
Hey, watch this.
Scraped knees.
And an elbow.
Relief. You need new Gold Bond Pain and Itch Relief Cream with lidocaine. Gold Bond has the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription and starts working on contact to numb away pain and itch. New Gold Bond with lidocaine. Relief starts now. Use as directed.
So, what would you do with an extra $500 a month in your budget? $500. This isn't hypothetical, by the way. This is something you may need to think about very soon if you decide to become a member of MediShare. MediShare is a way to pay for your health care, and typically it costs $500 less per month for a family versus other health care plans. So seriously, think about this. You could pay off loans, pay down a mortgage, save the money for retirement, donate to charity. That would be a big deal. But you know what? Here's the best thing. MediShare works. It has 250,000 members, and it's growing fast. With MediShare, not only do you save, you don't have to pay for things you don't believe in either, and that is a beautiful thing too. So here's how you can find out more, and you might actually wind up saving even more than $500 a month. So check into it. Here's the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. Now available in Montana. Call 844-41-BIBLE.
8:35. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim this morning, here's Dominic Fortini.
Inbound Eden's backing up at Elston, 20 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction, 40 on the outbound ride, heavy between Peterson and Willow. Inbound Kennedy remains slow between Foster and the Hubbard Tunnel, 59 minutes O'Hare, and 32 in from the junction, 29 the inbound Express. You're delayed outbound Anaheim. Inbound Stevenson still not doing any better. You're hung up between Harlem and Kedzie, then brake lights near Damon, but pretty solid from the Ryan to Lakeshore an hour 10. From 3:55 into the drive, inbound Ryan at 35 minutes, 95th in at downtown. Slowdowns begin in both the locals and the express right near Garfield. Inbound Bishop Ford, heavy near 103rd. Brake lights southbound Lakeshore near Bryn Mawr, and northbound Lakeshore delays right around Oakwood. Traffic answers when you need them the most. I'm Dominic Fortini on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Sunny, breezy, and cooler today. We'll top out near 70 degrees with a low of 53 overnight. 70 officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, time for Campus Beat, and of course we mean that literally these days on college campuses. Amy, an excellent piece from Tiana Lowe in National Review, nationalreview.com, arguing as one Washington state legislator has already proposed to defund Evergreen State University.
Oh, yeah.
In 1999, the Evergreen State College of Washington featured convicted cop killer and Black Panther Mumia Abu-Jamal as its commencement speaker via a recording. Abu-Jamal was on death row and could not attend, yet the college eagerly gave him a platform to speak. This is not a joke. 18 years later, Evergreen State refuses to protect the physical safety and free speech rights of its own professors, like Brett Weinstein, we discussed, from the threats and aggression of student protesters with a sadly familiar illiberal bent. The student demands, by the way? You know the student demands?
You saw that? Are they still occupying the library there?
Don't know
they
their
haven't given up
status.
the fight?
Their demands, under threat of violence, we demand for the coordinator of the Trans and Queer Center to be permanently hired full-time. Currently, they're temporarily hired. We demand the creation of a permanent position that will support undocumented students. This position will have a budget that will create scholarships, housing, and protections. We demand that a video created for Day of Abstinence and Day of Presence, Day of Absence, of course, absence of white people, that was stolen by white supremacists and edited to expose and ridicule the students and staff be taken down by the administration this Friday. We demand Brett Weinstein, the professor I mentioned, who's a liberal, by the way, self-identified progressive, not progressive enough. We demand Brett Weinstein be suspended immediately without pay, but all students receive full credit.
Oh, okay. They don't go to class, but they receive full credit. Okay. Oh, did they also demand that their college education be paid for as well?
We demand the immediate firing of this person and that person, we demand the immediate disarming of police services and no expansion of police facilities or services at any point in the future. We demand mandatory sensitivity and cultural competency training for faculty, staff, administrators, and student employees. We demand the creation of an equity center.
An equity center. Oh, please.
And to that, the faculty have responded.
Oh, good.
As Evergreen faculty members, these are the undersigned, 75, 80 professors. We acknowledge that all of us who have the power within the institution share responsibility for the racist actions of others. Furthermore, those who are white bear a particularly large share of that responsibility. We acknowledge that we have a great deal of work to do in order to honor and live up to the demands made by student leaders during last week's protests. We acknowledge that students of color and others who are underrepresented and underserved have been voicing their demands to us for some time, and we have not truly listened and acted. So blah, blah, blah. In solidarity with students, we commit ourselves to participating actively and self-critically in the annual mandatory training specified in the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that's signed by UFE and management bargaining teams, holding each other accountable when we act in racist ways against our colleagues or our students, holding President Bridges accountable for the arguments, for the promises that he made at the all-campus forum, supporting the strategic plan put forward by Equity and Inclusion Council, blah, 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 reading like passages from a George Orwell novel, The Professors. After the keys were turned over to the kids, the professors didn't back their colleague, Brett Weinstein, who voiced opposition to the Day of Absence, forcing white people from campus. They rolled over him and rolled in with the students, frankly, as did the president of the university.
They gave in to the student terrorists. That's what they did because they want to keep their jobs. That's why they did it.
Also because they see in those student agitators who they were when they were college students, and now they're the professorate and the administration, and this is why I think, in part, you have the culture on campuses that you have. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Alfred Thomas, who is an English professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago, right here. Professor Thomas, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for having me.
You recently wrote a letter that referenced Paul Griffiths, who is a Duke University divinity professor who's also under siege for not going along with mandatory sensitivity training and the like that these Evergreen State professors are excited to comply with. Give us your take on what's happening at Evergreen State, what's happening with your friend Paul Griffiths, what's happening on college campuses.
Well, I think the problem with those particular schools, and I want to emphasize, I don't think it's universally the case in every single university. The problem with those kinds of schools is that they tend to live in a kind of bubble. They're either geographically or culturally remote from the rest of the country. My own experience at UIC is a very fortunate one because, it's an urban campus, as I'm sure you know. The students are very much similar to my background, which is first-generation college, working class. They're very down to earth. So what I'm lucky enough to have at UIC is a combination of diversity and harmony. They actually can go together. I think the problem a lot of the time on some of these other campuses where they are sort of very rarefied and living in a kind of hothouse atmosphere is that they become detached from common sense. And I think I take a lot of your points and also Henry's points. I mean, clearly they've lost their sense of reason. In the case of Duke, for example, all that the colleague was doing, he used to be at UIC and now he's at Duke, all he was doing was expressing a different opinion. Now, he may have expressed it in a rather vitriolic way, but that's his right to express it. He wasn't aggressing anyone. He wasn't harassing anyone. He then found himself subject to a suit from a professor, by the way, the professor who had originally recommended this non-mandatory diversity training. She filed a suit against him for harassment. Well, if you read his original email, there's no way that you can construe his email as harassment, strongly worded maybe, but not harassment. And then the dean of the college accused him of sexism and racism. If you actually read again what he wrote, it is neither racist nor is it sexist. So again, what's disturbing in these instances is that the word racist is used as a kind of elastic term to encompass and damn anyone who doesn't agree with you. And that's, I think, where the Orwellian factor comes in. You referenced 1984, where language has become so diluted and evacuated of meaning that it can actually take on its opposite meaning. And in these extreme cases, I would suggest that diversity comes to mean uniformity, the Orwellian opposite of what it's supposed to be, because it's a kind of code to say to people, if you don't agree with us on this issue, then you are persona non grata. You're not a real person.
Well, hypothetically speaking, what if students at UIC wanted to have a day of abstinence, a day without white students or white professors? How would you handle that?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, I would probably have a similar issue as the professor at Evergreen State did, which is that, it's okay to have, a day of some kind of reflection on race in America, but don't make it a coercive exercise. And I think, again, his point was, and I think it's fair enough, that the exercise as it was introduced, which was to ask the white people to leave the campus, that is coercive. And it's kind of ironic given the fact that we should all be striving for desegregation, not more segregation. I think these kinds of arguments often end up collapsing and backwards on themselves. So, yeah, I would take a principled stand over something like that. But my experience is I've never come across that kind of thing at UIC, and so that's why I want to emphasize to you and to your listeners that I think these things are a problem, and we have to be very attentive to them and react accordingly. But I don't think it's universally the case across the whole of the United States. I think there are campuses where there is more harmony as well as genuine diversity. So, as I say, my experience with UIC has been a universally positive one for the last 15 years that I've been there. Before that, I was at Harvard, which was obviously a very different kind of experience. I didn't particularly have bad experiences there. Certainly with the students, I think oftentimes in these cases, there is a sort of unholy alliance of radical student elements and the central administration, where the central administration actually kind of almost it goes along with these kinds of irrational demands. And I think that's very serious too. I think that people in the administration and faculty have to basically say to the students, look, guys, we have something here in the United States called First Amendment, and it's a precious thing that we've cultivated for 200 years since the Enlightenment, and you can't just run roughshod over that. So to that extent, I think we have to be patient and explain to the students, what the precious factor of our Constitution is. And to that extent, I tend to apportion more blame to faculty and central administration who go along with these kinds of things, because I think there is a problem of appeasement there. You cannot give in to this kind of thing. If it's bullying, we should never give in to bullying.
Well, and not to mention, in terms of assigning blame, these students that come to you from grade schools and high schools where apparently they were not instructed on the importance of the First Amendment or what a college is like, what it's supposed to be like, a free marketplace of ideas and intellectual pursuits and all of those things.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the high achievers, generally speaking, in high school, the 1/3 of high school students that are actually going on to post-secondary education, tomorrow's leaders, ostensibly. And that paints a fairly dismal picture of the future if so many of these students and so many of these campuses are tomorrow's leaders.
Well, I take that point. That's a very good one. But as I say, I think the good news is that not every single campus is like that.
Right.
My experience with USC students has been terrific. I love my students. They're very, very down to earth. They're real. You know, they have jobs on the side. And they live in the real world. And so when we have a debate about whatever, I actually taught a course on utopian fiction, including 1984 and Brave New World. They're completely on board with these texts. I mean, they're not decrying them as fascists. They're saying, oh, wow, that's so relevant to today, isn't it? And, of course, they're right. So, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are. Having said that, I do understand your concern. And I think when these things arise, and there is a pattern, we should address them.
What was... Sure, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's ironic that very often I think these kids who are behaving in this way are actually products of themselves of privilege. So they're kind of undermining their own premise because they see themselves as subversive and anti-establishment. But they're actually, insofar as they're behaving rather like spoiled consumers, I pay his salary, therefore he must go. That's the sort of the quintessence of capitalism, is it not? So I think they kind of undermine themselves when they behave like that.
Yeah.
They're not acting in a progressive capacity. They're not being revolutionary as they clearly like to see themselves. They're kind of being counter-revolutionary, actually.
Yeah, they're dilettantes, absolutely. That's a good point. And I wanted to get I understand you were a student in Czechoslovakia in the 70s and 80s. And that would have been still with the existence of the Soviet Union. And so I wonder what your experience was like as a student there and if you draw any parallels.
Well, I think that's one reason why I'm very sensitive to these issues when they crop up, because it reminds me of not so much my own personal experience, because I wasn't Czech, I'm a British person, I'm sure you can tell that from my accent. I happened to study Slavic languages, Eastern European languages, in the communist era, so I spent a lot of time both as an undergrad and as a graduate student in Prague, and what I witnessed there was a society in which, free speech was banned. The works of Franz Kafka were banned from the bookstores. I remember that distinctly, and so it's not that I was personally oppressed because I was a sort of guest student, but I saw how people were oppressed. And I had friends, I was sort of hanging out a lot of the time with dissidents, and I saw how they were treated. They were often put in jail for their opinion, or they lost their jobs. The most famous of them, Václav Havel, who subsequently became president after the fall of communism. I met him subsequently in the United States when he was president, but I never met him during that period because he was in prison the whole time, and we're talking about, a couple of years. So it's a kind of empathy factor for me when I see this kind of behavior and people being got at, like Paul Griffiths, like Professor Weinstein. I think there's another case at Northwestern, a cause célèbre of a woman called Laura Kipnis. You may have heard about that. She was also attacked for expressing her own opinion. It does remind me of the Soviet experience. It makes me think that that free speech comes at a cost, and that we have to be perpetually vigilant if we are to preserve our democracy.
Well, perhaps we need a little bit of a velvet revolution on certain campuses here. He is Alfred Thomas, UIC English professor. Professor Thomas, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your perspectives. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
When you think about spring, what comes to mind? Baseball, tulips, spring cleaning? How about cleaning up your home? Hi, Amy Jacobson here to tell you about our good friends at CertaPro Painters. Spring has arrived, and it's a great time to focus on your exterior painting. Don't deny how ugly it is. You know, the chipping, peeling, eyesore of a front porch. So do what I did and call CertaPro Painters now. 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. They really are the best in the business. They're clean, responsible, talented. They increased our property values. They're such a top-notch company. They've been around for 25 years and counting. So do what I did and experience the CertaPro difference. 1-800-GO-CERTA or CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Are you stuck in a bad home mortgage? Well, join the club that has about 10 million other American families. But I may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest legal analysis, counsel, recommendations, and advice regarding your options.
We are experts in doing loan modifications successfully. We know the regs. We understand the process. Most importantly, we don't take no for an answer. We fight. We are prepared, and we win. We save houses. We make houses affordable. So if you want to keep your house affordable, contact us.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, I guarantee you'll never be alone in this country.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Ament, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman & Ament and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Dassman & Ament needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Folks, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
I didn't think to call any mortgage company or anything. Obviously, my dad was the one who told me to do that. Townstone was the first company that I called. For someone who is a new homeowner, the people at Townstone Financial were very helpful. They were able to explain everything that was going on in a way that somebody doesn't understand a lot of financial lingo and all that. They were able to explain everything in a way that I could understand.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111, or go to townstone.com.
Listen to the Townstone Financial Show, Saturdays at 1 p.m. here on AM 560. Townstone Financial is an Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. Notorious B.I.G. But we have notorious RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because her trainer is out with a new book, The RBG Workout, How She Stays Strong, and you can too. So basically, it's a 112-page book with illustrations of her wearing her judicial robe, purple leggings, and her gym shoes, and the workouts that she does.
Please tell me she's not in leotards.
No, she's got the robe over. Don't worry.
Please tell me she's not in Richard Simmons short shorts.
Well, watch out, Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons, because it works. She works out with her trainer.
Her secret is that she's held together by pickup sticks, right?
No, she works out with her trainer, Byron Johnson, 2 hours a week, and she does push-ups, Dan, the real kind, not the kind on your knees. Burpees. Ugh, I hate burpees.
And then she the tension for like the lats, right?
Yeah.
She tries to pull a Mylar balloon down from the ceiling.
Stop it. No, she said she hooked up with this trainer in 1999 after a treatment for cancer, and she likes it. And she's fit and she's healthy. And guess what? It's such a trend now that other justices are doing it. Guess which two?
All the girls. Stephen Breyer.
Stephen Breyer's one of them.
Sure.
And Alana Kagan. So I'll get you the book for Christmas.
Kagan's a project.
Yeah.
That's going to be a project for RBG's trainer.
Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Now here is Mike Scott.
Fox with the very latest on a deadly workplace shooting in Orlando, Florida. And a full forecast ahead for us. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.